Great to be here with you on this, whatever day it is, been Tuesday. It's hard to believe they're all running together. We got the NCAA tournament coming up on Thursday. Of course, you got the play-in game. I hope Christian is paying attention. You got the play-in games tonight and tomorrow, and then the tournament gets started on Thursday. We want you to participate in our bracket challenge presented by Coach's Corner. Again, go to ESPNCoastal.com. We've got all the information, the link to get you in and get your bracket in there. Play against us and see if you have the best bracket. 70-inch TV, one of the prizes. Also, wings for a year there from Coach's Corner. So a good chance for you to win some awesome prizes. Go to ESPNCoastal.com. Get signed up. Be a part of our bracket challenge presented by Coach's Corner. But, Ben, we've got so much to get to on the show. Demetrius Harvey will join us from Big Cat Country. The Jags have been as active as anybody in free agency, and that's saying something because it has been all over the place here in free agency in the National Football League. Of course, the Braves continue to make things happen. Matt Olson has been a Brave not even 24 hours already. Show me the money. Already going out there asking, and he didn't ask for it. I'm sure he did on some level, but they already worked out an extension for Matt Olson. We'll tell you about that coming up on the show as well. But, Ben, it has been a while. Somebody said today, hey, normally, under normal circumstances, this is March's time. Everybody's filling out brackets. Everybody's getting ready for these play-in games tonight and tomorrow. Fill out the field of 64. Let's put in those brackets and let's get rolling. Man, between baseball and the National Football League, there has been some money getting thrown around. But the National Football League, you have seen a lot of guys going all over the place here in the National Football League, and it's still not done with quarterbacks potentially wanting to go here and there and who's in the mix. This has been wild first couple of days here in the NFL.
High salary cap number, Kevin. This is what happens. When you got a high salary cap, guys are going to be benefiting from the fact that you got more money to spend. No bigger spender right now than the Jacksonville Jaguars. I mean, we talked about it a little bit yesterday, but I mean, Zay Jones and Christian Kirk and Evan Ingram. And I remember telling BJ was talking about how the worst production at the tight end position has been the Jaguars for the last really 4 or 5 years. You get a guy like Evan Ingram, first round pick out of Ole Miss, 4 years ago. I think signs a 1 year fully $9 million fully guaranteed contract. And I gotta say this. People get caught up in, hey man, I heard this yesterday. He only got that. What you mean he only? No. A great contract is what Evan Ingram just got. A 1 year, $9 million. I'm gonna make $9 million next year to play football. I know people talking about Christian Kirk. He got $18.5 million. I think that's too much. This is not your money. Christian Kirk has been super duper productive. I mean, almost 240 catches in his 4-year career, right at 2,800 yards. A great in the return game, but he's dependable. Now we'll see how Christian Kirk is going to be being the number one guy to go along because Kevin. The one thing about the free agency pool is it's who you can get with the money that you have. Because a team that's not spending at all, it's Indy. Indy, I think, had the most money going into the free agency, and all they've done is, as far as got rid of Carson Wentz, so get him off the books. Still don't have a quarterback, but yes, some of these deals. I mean, I know we're going to get to Randy Gregory a little bit down the line. I mean, in the show, but I mean, I've been very impressed with some of the deals. Tracy, from my neck of the woods, right here, Tracy. I can't think his name right. Tracy.
Tracy Walker. Yeah,
Tracy Walker. Re-signed with the Detroit Lions. I think got another 3 years, like $24 million. I'm happy for all the guys. People always say it's all about the timing. Sometimes it's when you sign, not that you signed, and the contract. I mean, the salary cap is going up. Guys are getting big time dollars. I'm happy for them. But people, it's all about when you see somebody sign a 6-year deal. 5-year deal. It's really a 2-year deal. But it doesn't matter. These guys are getting their money. I'm happy for all of them. Dallas Cowboys, I know we're going to get to y'all. Y'all need to know when to report stuff. I know that's really not up to y'all. But, yeah, Kevin, you mentioned. I mean, think about it. We thought it was going to be a slow cycle. Started with Aaron Rodgers. 4 years, $200 million, $153 million guaranteed. Then you talk about Russell Wilson. And then he gets traded from Seattle to Denver. And people are like, what's it going to be? Then baseball comes back. Then after baseball comes back, then we have to deal with, all right, Freddie Free. He's no longer be. Then we got Mr. Olsen coming from California. You can get a deal done coming from Oakland to the ATL. He got his deal done. Now we're talking about the Jaguars. Now we're talking about Mitchell Trubisky. Now we're talking about Deshaun Watson for which if you are in the NFC South, not named the Tampa Bay Bucks, you are trying to have him in your building. I think he's been to Cleveland. I think he's been to Carolina. I think he's been to Atlanta. And because Tampa Bay got Tom Brady, that's the only reason why he ain't been to Tampa. But yeah, man, the free agent frenzy, that's why they call it the free agency frenzy. It has been going crazy. It's only going to get even more, Kevin, because you still got guys like Ndamukong Suh, Jason Pierre-Paul, Tyrann Mathieu, Odell Beckham Jr., Chandler Jones. So you still got some big names still out there. And guess who hasn't signed a defensive end yet? That would be the Falcons. They signed Younghoe Kudo. Younghoe, congratulations. Yeah. But outside of that, Matty Ice, we were talking about having him here, and if we can put him in the deal, Kevin, he might be gone if one Deshaun Watson wants to come to the ATL.
And we'll get to that coming up in just a little bit. And we'll talk to Demetrius Harvey of Big Cat Country. The Jags have been very active, as you said. I know, Christian, a.k.a. Debbie Downer, they're on second down. It's like, who did the Jags get that just blows your hair back? And I think some of these guys might just benefit from a change of scenery. I mean, Evan Ingram had Daniel Jones throwing in the ball. And Daniel Jones has been running for his life for a couple of years with poor ball. The Jags have addressed the offensive line, should give Trevor Lawrence some more time. Ben, Evan Ingram's a guy that you feel like might actually flourish with a change of scenery there in Jacksonville.
Yeah.
I know Christian Kirk has not lived up to some of the hype that people had, but as you said, a dependable receiver. And you go, well, Jags need more than a dependable receiver. I'm sorry. Are we? If I'm a Jags fan, are you getting too good for a guy that just goes and makes catches? I'm not saying he's going to be the guy that, extends the field for 70, 80 yards. But you're the Jags. You've gone through seasons where you're going, we need a playmaker. I'm sorry, playmakers don't always mean 40 yards down the field. Playmakers mean I need somebody that can get off on a 7 to 10 yard slant and catch the ball.
Yeah.
And I think if you're Jacksonville, you're giving Trevor Lawrence options. You're giving him the tight end option. And really, been more of a tight end in your mold and the new age mold of tight end is that, hey, he might block occasionally, but make no mistake, Evan Ingram is there to go get open. You've given him a guy that can go catch balls on the outside. You've given him some other guys that can come in and be secondary and third option receivers. I think they've done all right. You say, well, why can't they go get a number one? I'm sorry. How many number ones were out there floating around on the market? Devontae Adams? And he's going to get franchised, or he's going to get big money to stay with Green Bay. So I think you look at what the Jags have done. I think they did all right. Again, nobody's looking at this move and saying, man, the Jags are about to go 12-5, 12-6. No, but nobody's saying that.
Yeah.
But are they going to get out of the top 5, 6 in the draft? Potentially. I think they can start moving that way with what they've done to help their young quarterback.
Yeah, and that's what it's about, though, isn't it, Kevin? Like I call it the Joe Burrow effect. You go out there, you go out there and get your franchise guy, former number 1 overall pick, obviously. Some weapons and see what happens, because we don't know how good or bad Trevor Lawrence is. Travis Etienne goes out, didn't have a tight end. Laviska Shenault, DJ Chark, Marvin Jones coming over from Detroit, all those guys. You had a bunch of number 2 receivers, hoping, and none of those guys really lived up to the billing. Now, you go get a Christian Kirk, a guy who's
notice Jacksonville wasn't trying to get any of those guys back.
I think DJ Chark is going to go sign a 1-year deal. I think Marvin Jones might have signed a 2, but Laviska Shenault going into year 3. You get to add a guy like Christian Kirk. You get to add a guy like
they may trade Laviska Shenault away. So it's like
well, Kevin, you know how if you're in the front office, you say, well, I've seen you guys for a year. I mean, and I kind of see what you guys can do. Some of you guys, if you can't get open consistently, we're going to scheme you open? No, I think a guy like Christian Kirk, who was in a very, 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 very crowded, because A.J. Green was out there in Arizona. DeAndre Hopkins was out there in Arizona. He still was very, very productive. I think they said, well, look, I'm going to give you a quarterback in Trevor Lawrence who's not going to run around like a chicken with his head cut off like Kyler Murray, because Kyler Murray got to run around because he's a small dude, make plays with his feet and with his arm. But you are right. They are loading up on offense. You're going to get a hopefully healthy Travis Etienne, Evan Ingram, Christian Kirk, Zay Jones, and that's before you get to the draft. Whoever's going to be holding, maybe a Tavon Austin, maybe a Laviska Shenault, and we'll see what we got. Oh, not to mention what they did on the offensive line. Cam Robinson. You get a guard that's obviously had a All-Pro type status. Maybe that's going to help Jawan Taylor. That means that obviously Aiden Hutchinson is probably going to be number 1 overall pick. The Jags, they making moves. If you play for Indy, you need to go tell Jim Irsay, what the hell, man? Like what is going on? Because number 1, we don't have a quarterback. right? Yes, you got Jonathan Taylor, and you still got put out by the same Jacksonville Jaguars team. The Jacksonville Jaguars got their last win of the regular season against the Colts team, who only had to win to get in, and they didn't. So, but no, free agency is as crazy as I thought it was going to be. Everybody, like I said, when it comes to the offseason, the NFL, they will dominate the headlines. And if you ain't got, I don't know, baseball, they doing their best to kind of stay in the headline. Everybody trying to see where, I don't know what Deshaun Watson, I got a show called Where's Deshaun Watson? Where's Freddie Freeman? Because you don't know what he's going to sign either. First it was the Yankees, then it was the Dodgers, now we're talking about the Blue Jays, now you're talking about the Red Sox. I don't know where Freddie Freeman is going to end up. I just know it will not be in the ATL, but he will be missed. But yes, now the NFL already on Sunday now, and the offseason, Kevin, they're trying to own Monday through Wednesday because, yes, the NCAA tournament is among us, and right now it is not being talked about at all.
Everybody's talking about who's getting paid in baseball and football at the moment. We've got so much to get to here on the show. As I mentioned, we'll chat with Demetrius Harvey, Big Cat Country, talking about the Jags, who've been very, very active. Of course, the Braves have been active in the overnight hours. Even we'll talk about that. As Ben mentioned, Deshaun Watson apparently has been linked to Atlanta, potentially in. And what does that mean? We just saw this play out with the Braves, right? You have a guy, Freddie Freeman, fans like him. In comes Matt Olson. Well, obviously that means Freddie Freeman's not coming back. You just reworked Matt Ryan's deal. Obviously makes him better cap-friendly deal. Also potentially makes him more tradable. If you bring Deshaun Watson in, Ben, Matt Ryan's done.
Oh, he's out.
Right, he's out.
He's gone.
So I think we're seeing a similar situation we just saw for the Braves. I'm not saying it will, could potentially play itself out there with the Atlanta Falcons as well. And we'll get to that coming up this hour. Love to hear from you. 912-342-7184. Hit us up on Twitter as well at Pigskin Radio. You can catch us streaming live also at ESPNCoastal.com and on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. We're coming right back. Demetrius Harvey, Big Cat Country, joins us here on 3 and Out. It is 3 and out here on this Tuesday. Ben, Jaguars have been some big-time spenders here early on in free agency. Joining us here to talk about that from Big Cat Country, Demetrius Harvey joins us here on 3 and out. Demetrius, welcome to the show. How are you?
I'm doing all right. How about yourself?
Good. We knew the Jags had money to spend. They brought in a lot. What was the best pickup yesterday, in your opinion, of the number of moves that the Jaguars did?
Yeah, they brought in, or they're going to bring in 6 guys, it seems like. And to me, the best pickup, and it kind of comes with a caveat, but Brandon Scherff, he's a guy who is a 5-time Pro Bowler. He made the All-Pro team a couple times. He's clearly one of the best guards in the league. The only issue is he can't stay healthy. He's missed so many games over the course of his career and even in the past couple seasons. So it's a risky gamble where you're putting a right guard in there that may or may not actually stay healthy for the entire season. But if he does, and he's easily their best pickup, I think that he's a guy who immediately comes in and makes the offensive line better. And I think that they needed him. They needed a guy to come in. They were already losing A.J. Cann. They were losing Andrew Norwell at left guard. They were losing multitude of players who they needed to just plug and play somebody, and Brandon Scherff definitely makes the list.
Demetrius, when you look at the fact that obviously the Jags, as Kevin mentioned, was going to be big-time spenders. They go out there, they get Christian Kirk, they get Zay Jones. You're going to get, hopefully, a healthy Travis Etienne. You look at that offensive line. How much better have these guys already got in free agency before you even get to the draft?
Yeah, people can make up what they want about the amount they spent and, did you overpay Christian Kirk? Why are you bringing in Zay Jones? The point is, though, they definitely got better. They got better at the receiver position. Last season was abysmal. You had Tavon Austin at the slot, who is a guy who, frankly, he probably wouldn't have been in the NFL if it wasn't for Urban Meyer and the Jaguars for signing him. So if you're going to go after it in the sense of did they get better overall, I think that there's no question. Christian Kirk is a guy who clearly hasn't reached his, ceiling per se. Maybe he's gotten close to it, or who knows how much more he has to grow, but clearly he's a guy that can come in and immediately help you stretch the field from the slot position. I think that that's where he's best served, and I think that they immediately got better at the receiver position, and then obviously offensive guard, they got better. Having Zay Jones come in, I'm not quite sure how I feel about that signing, only because he hasn't produced at the level that you would want to see. But he's a guy who is a sure-handed catcher. He's going to make plays if he gets the ball thrown to him. So I don't see why not to bring a guy in at least as a body. And then obviously on the defensive side of the football, they've upgraded at linebacker. We already saw that they released Miles Jack. So there's a couple guys in there, Foye Olakun. I'm not exactly sure how to pronounce his name. And then Foley, the defensive tackle, who's going to come in and be basically a big-time run stopper for him. So I think overall they did get better. Can they have more room to grow? Absolutely, and I think that they're not done during the free agency period, and I think obviously the draft.
And Demetrius, I saw you tweet out earlier today, they still have, as you said, room towards the cap, even with the hit they might take for Miles Jack. $6 million or so after you factor out the rookie pool, right?
Yeah, after you factor out the rookie pool, they have about, I believe it's around, it should be around 12 or 14 million because you add in that Miles Jack is saved, but that also doesn't account for Evan Ingram, who's coming in apparently at $9 million guaranteed. It doesn't account for Foley, who has $30 million, 10 per, and I think 20 million guaranteed. And then also the Zay Jones signing, he has a $8 million per year contract. So you still have to factor those kind of guys in. I still think that they're not done in terms of making moves, but they will have to, clear up some cap space. They're going to have to at least cut maybe Brandon Linder at $9 million savings, and then figure out where to go from there. But it's going to be interesting to see how they figure everything out, and if so, are they going to be making even more moves? I still think there's at least one more signing yet to come.
And Demetrius, when you think about this Jags team, when you think about this division as a whole, obviously if they can find a way to tackle, Derrick Henry up there, with the Titans, and you don't know what the Houston Texans are going to do with Deshaun Watson having a lot of suitors, and The Colts don't even have a quarterback. I mean, depending on how this draft going, depending on how much of a jump Trevor Lawrence can have from year 1 to year 2 with all the additions before you even get to the draft, how much of a jump can this young Jaguars team make in year 2 with a new head coach, Doug Peterson?
Yeah, they have a chance to make a pretty big jump. I mean, obviously they've only won 4 games over the last 2 seasons, so it's not as though they have a long ways to go in order to make that jump. But I do think that given that the division is sort of in flux, I know that the Titans are still in the lead there. They have the defense. The offense isn't really changing very much. It still should be the best team in the league. But yeah, the Texans are in shambles. They're not going to have Deshaun Watson. I mean, obviously that was clear last season as well, but they haven't really done too much to upgrade that quarterback room right now. They have Davis Mills, who to me right now is not the guy that you want to move forward with for the foreseeable future. But we'll see, because they have no other choice. And then you have the Colts, who they are in desperate need of a quarterback. There's rumors out there that maybe they'll go after a Jimmy Garoppolo or someone like that, and that would make sense. They have plenty of cap space, so they might get a little better there. But yeah, the Jaguars, they have a lot of moves that they need to make. They still have to add more receivers. They still have to figure out their defense in its entirety. Obviously, cutting Miles Jack, now they have a hole again at linebacker. So you're sitting there thinking, hey, if they can get these pieces in, perhaps they can do something. I know that the offense certainly is going to be upgraded. Christian Kirk coming in is a guy that Trevor Lawrence is going to grow to love, and as long as he can stay healthy, and then as long as they still upgrade the receiver position throughout the draft and maybe more in free agency, then I think that it could be pretty solid. I mean, overall, I think that they're just going to, get maybe a few games better. I'm not sure how much of a jump. I don't think they're going to be winning the AFC South this year, but yeah, they're definitely getting better.
Demetrius Harvey, Big Cat Country, joining us here on 3 and Out. Obviously, with the moves they've made in free agency, how does that change things with the draft? Given the moves they've made along the offensive line, it would seem obviously foolish for them to draft one of the tackles there at number 1. Are they sold on Aiden Hutchinson? Could they sneak and go get a Kyle Hamilton? Or are they potentially even looking at moving back?
Yeah, I mean, from everything I've heard recently, at least, it seems like Aiden Hutchinson is the guy you might as well just write in with a pen, because all the moves that they've done so far kind of point toward that. Now, they could still fool everybody and draft an Evan Neal and put him at guard, but taking a guard number 1 overall, you kind of have to be special. You have to be a Quentin Nelson, or even maybe even better somehow, in order to take that guy at number 1, especially because they haven't addressed edge at all during free agency. It just seems like it's obvious they're going to go Aiden Hutchinson. It's a guy that Trent Baalke, I know, would like. Maybe if they can trade down, they'll go in a different direction. But for now, if they stay at number 1 and they don't make any more moves on the edge, I think that's a clear and obvious point. And who knows what's going to happen between now and the draft, but it just seems like they want to go all in on their offense. They want to go all in on making sure the offensive line is stable before they do anything else, and then moving forward, they're going to have to get somebody on defense.
Demetrius, when you think about a guy like Aiden Hutchinson, I mean, obviously he was a late bloomer. I mean, 4 sacks going into the 2021 season. You look at the year to end up being a Heisman Trophy finalist. Is he ready to deal with the fact that he's going to be a guy that's going to get double teamed a lot? I know people not going to want to bring up that Georgia film, but he's going to be going up against those caliber type tackles week in and week out. I mean, Josh Allen has proven to be a big time defensive end, even though he don't got a lot of help. Is Aiden Hutchinson ready to be that guy that gets drafted number 1 overall? You plug him in, and is he ready to be able to be more of a focal point?
Yeah, that's going to be the question that he's going to have to answer. I mean, it basically boils down to which kind of Aiden Hutchinson are you going to get? That Georgia tape obviously is something that no one wants to look at if you're talking about him in a positive light. But it's definitely something you have to think about. Is he going to be able to take on those double teams? Is he going to be stout enough against the run in order to play every down? I mean, I think that he's shown enough that he can do that. Absolutely. I think that he's shown he's athletic enough to do that, but there's still some concerns. He doesn't play as athletic as his numbers would indicate. He has an amazing 3-cone time, but if you watch him play, his bend and his hip, flexion and all those sort of terms, it doesn't correlate. It doesn't translate to what he should be able to do. And that's going to be the growing concern heading into the draft. And then after somebody drafts him, will he be able to do that, in terms of production? 14 sacks last year. I mean, there's no telling, that this guy is a good player. Absolutely. But is he worth the number 1 overall pick? I think that absolutely can be debated.
Finally, Demetrius, it would appear, obviously, through their moves, the Jags are going to give Trevor Lawrence every opportunity to prove himself, right? We're protecting you. We're giving you guys to get the ball to. Is this kind of where the Jags find out where Trevor Lawrence is the pro quarterback here?
Yeah, absolutely. This is it. This is the year that pretty much you have to make sure that Trevor Lawrence obviously gets a few more weapons, but from what they're doing, this is going to be the year that you see whether or not he's going to blossom into the quarterback that you took at number 1 overall. If he puts up the same season as he did last year, then there's growing concerns, very deep concerns about how much is he going to grow, what's wrong with him, because they are adding pieces. Evan Ingram is coming in. Christian Kirk is coming in. I mean, you have other guys from last year. You have a new offense, and you have Doug Peterson and all these other quarterback coaches that they're bringing in to surround him. The excuses won't be as easy to make as they were last year during his rookie season. I think that he's going to live up to expectations. I think that this guy is going to be an outstanding quarterback, and I have no reason to think otherwise. And as long as they continue to add pieces, I can't stress that enough. Then I guess we'll see what happens.
Demetrius Harvey, Big Cat Country, our guest here on 3 and Out. Demetrius, appreciate the time. Thanks so much.
No problem. I appreciate you guys.
Appreciate it. Demetrius Harvey joining us here. The Jags have been very, very active, adding pieces in free agency early. We got about 30 seconds. What were you most impressed with them yesterday?
I mean, when I didn't got Evan Ingram, something I talked to BJ about, Kevin, a guy that I still think has a lot left in the tank. You add Zay Jones, you add Christian Kirk, and Kevin, I think you make a good point. If you're talking about what they're trying to go all in, they're going all in second year. And listen, that's the Joe Burrow effect. You give him some weapons around him. With the offensive line, we'll see just how good or not Mr. Trevor Lawrence is going into year 2.
We've got more to come here. It's 3 and Out on the Southern Pigskin Radio Network. Good to have you back here on this Tuesday. Kevin Thomas, Ben Troop, glad you are with us. And Ben, so much happening today around the National Football League. Of course, the Braves with Matt Olson, that kind of popped up at the introductory press conference. You know, Alex Anthopoulos says, hey, I'd like you to meet our new first baseman. Oh, by the way, on the plane ride over here in the right, he's got an 8-year deal now. So, oh, by the way, there's that to throw on top. But Deshaun Watson, we knew last week, Ben, you're like, hey, if his legal issues come to some sort of resolution, and they did, he's going to be a hot commodity. Carolina really wants him, maybe another place. Now, like everybody who has even heard of the position quarterback seemingly is in on this thing, including today, you have people saying quietly, well, maybe not so quietly now, but coming in late, the Atlanta Falcons apparently have interest in Deshaun Watson. And as I said earlier in the show, Ben, what we talked about with Freddie Freeman, as soon as that deal was done and Matt Olson was traded for by Alex Anthopoulos and the Braves, you said Freddie's time here is done. If Deshaun Watson comes to Atlanta, Matty Ice is done, right? I mean, and that's just the reality of the situation. And you say, well, what if Deshaun Watson gets a 4-game suspension from the commissioner? I think the Falcons will just eat it, right? They'll put Josh Rosen out there for 4 games and be like, there you go. But we can see two kind of icons in Atlanta sports moving on within the span of a couple of days of each other. How real do you think this is? Is this the Falcons showing interest? Obviously, Deshaun's an Atlanta guy, but showing interest to jack the price up. You know, hey, there's more suitors. Houston going to jack the price up to kind of stick it to Carolina or New Orleans if they want him. How much of this do you think is actually real from Atlanta?
I think it's very real. I mean, because Kevin, you know what you're like I know. I mean, I go back to the old Brave adage you always say. It's sometimes, I mean, you got to trade a guy when he has trade value. Well, a guy like Deshaun Watson changes everything. When we're talking about keeping Matty Ice and trying to give him the best possible option to be able to get the best out of him in these last couple of years, that's different. Then somebody goes, hey, Kevin, what? Deshaun Watson people on the phone. Who? Because it's all about getting better right now. It's all about having the best possible when we start talking about organizations, it starts and ends with the quarterback. If I got the best quarterback, then I can start building out. You don't believe me? Jacksonville is treating Trevor Lawrence like he's a Tom Brady, like he's an Aaron Rodgers with all the weapons they're giving around him. But he's also under a rookie contract. He's also going to a second year, and they think they can win with him. Deshaun Watson, before his suspension, led the NFL in passing yards on the Houston Texans. Led the NFL in passing yards for the Houston Texans. So now that Atlanta got a shot to get him, you say to yourself, well, look, I mean, you start reevaluating. And you know what makes the decision even more easier? Tom Brady's back in the division. Because when Tom Brady's gone, hey, we got the best quarterback in the division. Well, now we don't. We definitely, Carolina might have the best team in the division. New Orleans might be best suited to make another playoff run. And obviously Tampa got Tom Brady. But adding Deshaun Watson, Kevin, makes everything different because you know he makes the team better. Now, I mean, I know we were joking on Twitter when they said the GM, Terry Fontenot trying to show them who they got to throw to. They don't got nobody but Kyle Pitts. Kyle Pitts is looking around saying, dude, what a difference a year makes. But Deshaun Watson makes everything different. Like, there are fan bases right now. Like they said that San Francisco is no longer in the running. They're not going to meet with Deshaun Watson. People are going, why not? Like, why couldn't you even meet with him? So I think right now he's met with the Cleveland Browns. I think he's met with Carolina. I think he's met with New Orleans. And I think he also met with Atlanta. I think, Kevin, if you can, now this is going to take some Houdini.
I was saying, is the price worth it? What is expected to be?
Yes, because of the player you're getting. Because the thing is, is his number going to be higher than Matt Ryan's? Yeah, but he's also a younger player. He's also signed his contract after Matt Ryan. Now you're going to have to put together a package. I think for a guy like that, I mean, you talking about 2, maybe 3 first rounders. You talking about Matty Ice.
Yeah, but for a team that's really needing talent, that's a steep price to give up, in my opinion.
I will say this. If you are Terry Fontenot, do you have a choice to not bring him in? Because you're not, I don't think they're going to get him. But Kevin, it's like what we say about Alex Anthopoulos. Every time a big time pitcher comes up at the trade deadline, Atlanta can't afford him, but they can, hey man, we can fly you in. Because sometimes you got to give the illusion that we're trying to be winning franchises go after players. I ain't got the money. Well, think of it. It's ways to get there. They already took a bunch of money off the cap because they was able to restructure Matty Ice, make that more of a signing bonus. Now they still have no money. Younghoe Koo, he gets a new deal. I think Jake Matthews got an extension. I just think with a guy like Deshaun Watson, you always going. He's like Russell Wilson, man. You got a chance to get him. You gonna at least, hey man, could y'all at least come have some coffee? Can we at least talk about it? Because sometimes you're trying to formulate what you can actually do. Because Deshaun Watson is probably not about out of the picture, but you could be saying, hey, dude, we got to try to put together some strategies because I mean, this 2023. Matty Ice is probably not going to be, a Falcon anymore because of the cap number. But I think, Kevin, what can it hurt? The worst they can say is, okay, we ain't got the money. Well, we've told everybody that. Hey, we ain't got no money for nobody. I mean, our leading tackler is now a Jacksonville Jaguar because we couldn't pay him.
I guess this the crux of my argument is this one of those things that sounds nice, like, oh man, Deshaun Watson, that's great. Then you get that. I mean, I would love to have a Lamborghini. Then they show me the sticker on the window, and I'm like, that ain't happening. I worry about pulling what like the Saints did for Ricky Williams, where it's like you start giving up a lot. I mean, again, you did that for Julio Jones. But you start giving up multiple ones. You say multiple ones, okay, for Deshaun Watson. But multiple ones. These are future starters that you are not getting
this year and future years.
So these are starters that you are not getting to help your team on a team that needs help. Is it you mortgage the future to get the car, but you can't make the payments? Is it, you see what I'm saying? Like, you understand? So like, you get Deshaun Watson, and that's great. That's a great quarterback. Then he goes to Terry Fontenot and goes, hey, can you give me somebody to throw the ball to? Well, you got a great tight end.
Yeah.
No, but I need like somebody outside.
I need a receiver.
Well, no, we don't got any money for that.
Yeah.
So it's like, to me, that's where it's a fine balancing act if you are the Falcons going to be as serious about Deshaun Watson as maybe some people think they're going to be.
And I think you just said it. You are hamstringing the organization, Kevin, because look, it's going to start in with these quarterback contracts.
I'm not saying if you get a great deal, don't do it. But if you start saying it's going to be at least three number ones, like, I'm not.
This time yesterday, we're talking about Matt Olson as if to say he's not one of the best first basemen in baseball. He's just a better Freddie Freeman. Well, you can say that about everybody. But if you were Alex Anthopoulos, you say to yourself, if I'm not going to get Freddie Freeman, I got to get the guy behind him. I got to get him. Got him. And I gave him a new deal. So look, I'm going to go ahead and give him his extension right now on the plane. And then when you start going to the numbers, 39 home runs, hey, man, that's some of the best hitters. That's some of the best. That's top 10, top 10 easily as far as like home run hitters. And he's the first baseman, also a Golden Glover. If you're talking about getting Deshaun for a guy like Matty Ice, what makes it different, Kevin, is the fact, like you say, like, look, man, we already don't have anything to bargain. Now, it's different when we giving away first round picks, but we already got guys under contract that's on their rookie deals. Hence, a Denver Broncos. They already got Jerry Jeudy going into his third year. They already got Albert O'Kay going into his second year. Cortland Sutton already read up, and we can bring back right now. You don't even have your best running back is Mike Davis. Cordell Patterson is not under contract. And your best player on offense not named Matty Ice is Kyle Pitts, who has one touchdown, and that wasn't in America. I'm just saying, you really need to. Terry Fontenot was going, man, thank God I got a bald head, because my goodness, man, like he gonna have to do his best Houdini act. But I think, Kevin, this is more perception than reality. He had to kind of make it look like he can get him. I don't think they're in a position to get him because, like you said, Atlanta need every draft pick they can get.
And again, I'm not saying they aren't serious about it. I just wonder if what you're going to give up, it's like, hey, we got the best quarterback possible, but we can't do anything else. I got what people used to call it being house poor. Like, hey, I got the best house I could possibly get. Unfortunately, I got no money to do anything else. So I got the nice house. I can't do anything because all my money is going to this one thing. So how can you supplement the ball club, that football roster, if you tied up a lot in Deshaun Watson that you can't go out and get him weapons to be successful? I don't know. Maybe, as you said, we've seen GMs in Atlanta work miracles before.
Yes.
We just saw it with, Alex Anthopoulos. I'm not saying it can't happen. I'm just wondering if it could happen, and that'd be a prudent move. We got more to come here. It's 3 and Out on the Southern Pigskin Radio Network. Good to have you here on this Tuesday. Kevin Thomas, Ben Troop, March Madness is upon us. You got some play-in games tonight, 2 more tomorrow night, and then we'll have the field of 64 set. Want you to get in on our bracket challenge presented by Coach's Corner. Go to espncoastal.com. You'll find a link there to get in on our bracket challenge. Fill in your bracket. Winner of the bracket going to get a 70-inch TV from Coach's Corner or wings for a year. Great prizes there. So go sign up, put your bracket in, compete against myself, Ben, BJ, Christian, PJ. See if you can beat the gang here at ESPN Coastal. Winning bracket against some great prizes. Go to espncoastal.com and sign up for that bracket challenge presented by Coach's Corner. I mean, to beat me is probably not going to take much because mine the last few years has been rough.
Man,
Needless to say, Ben.
Kevin, I will say this: would you want to be the person to have a perfect bracket though? Because that's the one thing.
I mean, that's
can
impossible.
do. I know, because if you did, right, because this is what happens: you get the perfect bracket. All of a sudden, your phone start blowing up. The missus telling you, Kevin, just tell him you lucked up. I didn't luck up. I got a strategy in this. And then next thing you know, you got to because nowadays anything you do that goes against the norm, you got to go on the media tour like Kevin's literally on TV saying, and you start breaking it down. But Warren Buffett said, I would give $1 billion to a perfect bracket. And people, I was living. I remember when I think the Powerball or something was like 500 million. This is when I was up there in New York, New Jersey. Kevin, the line was outside. And I go, you're not going to win it. No, I woke up this morning and I just, no. This is the hardest thing to do because, Kevin, what do we see in the tournaments? Last second 3. You're going to see more buzzer beaters in the tournament.
Yeah.
And it's one game elimination, man. So, do not listen. Just like our picks during the year, do not go to the bank with these. My bracket is going to be busted already. Yeah. I got a better shot. My nephew is 2. I'm going to let him pick my bracket. He got a better shot. He going to pick the teams with the nicer color.
And God forbid BJ ever got a perfect bracket.
Oh, my God. Whatever he'd end up.
No, I'm saying that. But if I did get a perfect bracket, then I'd be like, hey, can we find who's considered like the smartest guy out there right now? I mean, is it like Elon Musk or like Bill Gates? Like, look at me. I know you're out here making electric cars and self-landing rockets and stuff. I got a perfect bracket, son.
Now think about that too. Like with all the nerd stat people don't get into this because they know because it's too much unpredictability. It's just too much.
Well, I will say this. I mean, I look at the way college basketball has gone the last couple of years, and it seems like coming out of COVID, where you've gotten into like the first really start to finish season in a couple of years in college basketball. I mean, a lot of times we say there's chaos, but I really feel like there's not. But maybe Gonzaga and maybe I don't know, like an Arizona out there that are really, really good. Good. Outside of that, once you get down to like the Sweet 16, you hate to say the cliche, but you really feel like once you're there on that second weekend, like anybody could win.
Oh, you make it through the.
And normally that's just stuff people say to make everybody feel like, oh man, anybody can win this. No, but you literally had a week in college basketball this year where like 12 of the top 15 teams all lost on the same weekend, and it's like I don't see that one team that everybody's like, nope, they're just lock it in Final Four for sure. Maybe Gonzaga, but the rest of it, Ben, I wouldn't be surprised if some of these teams that people pick in the Final Four aren't done on the first weekend, out in the round of 32. I mean, it really wouldn't surprise me, just given the volatile nature of college basketball. And we've seen, with the double play-in that you have, you shove some 16 seeds kind of out of the tournament, so to speak, and you get a little bit deeper in the middle. And I think when in a year of parity like we're seeing right now, like this tournament's about to be crazy because I don't think, again, the difference between a 2 seed, when you're talking about teams like Auburn and Tennessee, are they unbeatable?
No.
But could they very well make a run to the Final Four? They absolutely could.
Of course.
But they could also be out in the first weekend. There's not, and it wouldn't shock anybody. So to me, that's what's exciting about going in this tournament, where there are some good teams, maybe some teams that are better than they traditionally are, and they could all be one of those upset losses, and it would not be surprising at all.
Well, they can go on a Texas A&M run, right, Kevin? I mean, you look at how much momentum they had in the conference tournament, played in the conference tournament championship, and didn't make it in. So I just think that what's crazy is, Kevin, you got teams, right? Mid-major teams that got a good run. The problem is they're not using as much attention. They're not using, oh my God, Loyola, Illinois, and all these different things, right? And it's like, dude, and then as soon as they lose, it's right. Phil, The tournament is about the blue bloods right to the top of the end. It's about the Cinderella story that started off. It's about learning about teams we ain't never. I remember when the college, when the coastal Florida, they Lob City when they was in it, and then when they were dumping on
Florida
that,
Gulf Coast.
Florida Gulf Coast when they was. I remember with VCU when they had Coach Shaq and they had their run. Which shout out to another one of those Deloaches. Rob Deloach son is like balling up there with VCU, but we'll see what happens. I mean, at the end of the day, Kevin, Cinderella. She'll make it to the ball, but she will not leave with a prince. I guarantee you that.
Go to ESPNCoastal.com. Get involved in our bracket challenge presented by Coach's Corner. Obviously, you still have a couple of days to do that, as you don't have to officially have it locked in until that first game on Thursday. So ESPNCoastal.com, our bracket challenge presented by Coach's Corner. Love to have you be a part of that, and you can win some great prizes there at the end of the day. We're going to take three next hour. Certainly the Braves lock it up, Matt Olson. That's big news as well. We'll hit all that and more hour 2 here on 3 and Out. Good to have you back. Hour 2. Kevin Thomas, Ben Troop, glad you are with us. So much to get to here on the show this hour. Matt Olson going to be a Brave, as we know, but he's going to be a Brave for a long, long time, as Alex Anthopoulos, with a little bit of that trickery there heading into the Matt Olson presser today. So we'll get to that coming up this hour. Also check in with Rich Stiles, as we do each and every week, getting really close to the Masters and coming off of the Players' Championship, which they had to finish yesterday. So with all kind of wild weather. So we'll get to that coming up in just a little bit. But Ben, first off, let's take 3 here on 3 and Out, shall we? All right, take 1. Where does Deshaun Watson end up? And if you have a football team and it's not named Houston, there's a chance you have been rumored to have interest in Deshaun Watson at this point, it seems like.
I mean, I'm gonna go with a team that he's been rumored to go to the whole time. Now, at first, thought it was gonna be the Washington Commanders. That's crazy to even say. Then I thought it was gonna be the Seattle Seahawks, but since they're trying to replace Russell Wilson, but I think it's gonna be the Carolina Panthers. They've been the most aggressive thus far. I know the New Orleans Dennis Allen gonna throw their hat in the ring, and I know that Terry Fontenot in Atlanta, they're gonna do their best to try to make a pitch that make it. That's more of a perception driven type thing, Kevin, because of the Atlanta faithful. But I think it's gonna be Carolina. When you look at Carolina right now, I mean, you talk about a team that has Christian McCaffrey. You talk about a team that has a defense, that has a lot of young superstars, Stephon Gilmore, CJ Henderson. I mean, I just think for me, you think about a guy like Deshaun Watson. Deshaun Watson has been blessed to never ever really leave the South, even though Houston, it depends on who you ask, is that the South or not. But this is why it really makes sense. He grew up in Georgia, went to college at Clemson. He can go right there. Carolina sounds like a plan to me when you talk about from a marketing standpoint. Now, obviously, the front office and Matt Rule. We don't know how good of a coach Matt Rule is either. Because Matt Rule, since he came in the NFL, I mean, he was okay at Baylor, had that 1 year. So I just think that for me, Kevin, I know, as you mentioned, everybody needs a quarterback. I've heard a rumor. They said they love Baker Mayfield on Monday, Tuesday. I mean, Baker Mayfield, you get the hell on, and we get Deshaun. But for me, I think it's going to be the Carolina Panthers.
I think it comes down to, a matter of fact, as well as who can afford Deshaun Watson. And by afford, I don't mean to pay him the salary. I mean, like, what do you got to give up in order to get him? I don't know that that's Atlanta, even though Atlanta has shown interest and has been thrown out there as a, quote, sleeper team. I don't know that Atlanta can afford him. I really don't want him in the NFC South, to be honest, Ben, if he ain't going to Atlanta. But I do think Carolina is still kind of the front runner to get it. I think he ends up in Carolina. As you said, it makes a lot of sense. He's going to be a draw wherever, but as you said, went to Clemson, Charlotte, not too terribly far from there, all things considered. I think it does make a good sense as you said, from a marketing standpoint. I think Carolina is where he's going to end up. They can also probably, if you're Deshaun Watson, you have the no trade. I mean, you can also say, well, they can also afford to put some guys around me as well. Atlanta may not be able to do that at the end of the day. All right, moving along, take 2. Who will play wide receiver for the Atlanta Falcons? And I say that because as of right now, Ben, I will give you as much time as you need to run down the current depth chart at wide receiver for the Atlanta Falcons.
I know. I'm not. This is my squad. Wow. I don't know nobody. Listen, Cordell Patterson is gone. Justin Gage has moved on. Justin Gage is a freaking Tampa Bay Buck now. They don't have any. When I say they don't have anybody, they have somebody on the roster, but nobody who is recognizable.
No, they have I think Zacchaeus, and that might be their entire wide receiver.
So you got Zacchaeus. He signed like some type of tender to keep him there. Cordell Patterson wants to get re-signed, but he wants to get re-signed, but they're going to try to work his as a running back / receiver. Calvin really likes to bet. They just call it what it is. He's not gonna be a Falcon. Kevin, this is what I would like to see. I mean, you got Robinson from Chicago. You got Jarvis Landry. I mean, he wanted to see, because I think because a guy like Justin Gage is the Tampa, I don't think they're gonna add 2 guys. If you can get 1 or maybe 2 of those guys, because whatever happened to Kevin to having one of the most prolific receiving corps, so you don't know nobody anymore. What about the days when you had, Roddy White? When you had, when you went out there and had Julio, right? I mean, now, Tony Gonzalez, now you got Kyle Pitts. That's it. I mean, as far as like a person who can definitely threaten the defense, who's ever going to be a focal point. Terry Fontenot is on the phone trying to get Deshaun Watson. You ain't got nobody to throw to. I mean, I just think for Kevin, for me, I mean, I never ever thought that the Falcons would be in this like just awful of a situation when you think of the fact that yes, you're re-signing guys, but you have nobody. Yes, if they had a mini camp right now, and you know, D Orlando, home team, Brandon League, they out there going, I don't know who are these people? Like when this guy get signed? So
yeah,
Kevin, obviously they're gonna have to get some guys in the draft, obviously. But you're still gonna have to get a veteran. I mean, Kyle Pitts still doesn't know what it's like to have a true number one receiver to take the weight off of him. That way he possibly can get in the end zone more, which is a big reason. But right now, Kevin, it's a big gigantic question mark when it comes to the receiving corps for Atlanta, and that's not going to improve anytime soon because unless Jarvis Landry's going to take a pay cut, or unless Robinson's going to take a friendly deal with Christian Kirk, he's going to be making $18.5 million. Good luck with that. But yes, I couldn't tell you nobody right now that played for the Atlanta Falcons as far as I can receive.
And again, James Robinson would be a nice pickup, but again, been in free agency, given like everything else with Atlanta, given the price. Are you getting a number one in free agency? Are you shooting for a number two and hope that your draft pick, because I mean, at this point, you have to draft receiver in the first round, right? And hope that your draft pick pans out and has a solid rookie season.
Woo, I think, Kevin, I
don't know if you're hoping for Jamar Chase numbers, but I mean, you need somebody that can play something like that, right?
I think whoever you get, Kevin, in free agency and in the draft, gonna have to sell it as that number one, number two, depending on how the season goes, because you don't got nobody else. Like, you got to have something to build off of. So if you coming into Atlanta right now, you saying to yourself, if I'm a rookie, who's gonna show me the ropes? Now you got a better shot of being a really, really good player because Matty Ice is gonna demand that from you. But Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson, Odell Beckham, these LSU receivers got everybody thinking, hey man, let me just, that's like a college football. Man, go out there and get your Nick Saban, you good. Yeah, yeah, of course. No, I do think there are going to be some veteran guys who's going to be able to get a nice contract. Might not be, what Christian Kirk just got, but you can still be, you're going to be the number one on the Atlanta Falcons because you're already going to have, and you get some receivers in the draft that's going to be NFL ready. That can definitely run the route tree, definitely going to be able to get more opportunity. But yes, I don't know who's going to be on Hard Knocks this year. I don't know if they're going to try to double it up and do two teams, but I would love to see the Atlanta Falcons offense on Hard Knocks just so I can see. And
just so you can learn names.
Just so I can learn who they are. And it kind of does pave the way for maybe like a Cordero Patterson to come back, Kevin, because he is familiar with the system. He does provide like value both at the running back and the receiver position. But we'll see because, man, Christian Kirk just reshaped the whole market if you're trying to get paid as far as a receiver right now. And a lot of these guys we mentioned, they got way better numbers than them.
Yeah, and again, I'll be interested to see what the Falcons can get in free agency as a receiver spot. You need more than one. I mean, you can't just say, well, we'll address it in the draft. Okay, so now you have two wide receivers. We're just going to run, what do they call it, 11 personnel all game? That's all we're going to do is just have, two wide receivers out there the whole game. I mean, I think as I look at this draft, if we're going to keep Matt Ryan, and who knows with Deshaun Watson, but if you're going to keep Matt Ryan, I'm drafting a wide receiver, and I'm sorry, love Cordell Patterson, drafting a running back somewhere. Given as deep as running back is, you could probably get a nice one, third, fourth round. Sorry, Mike Davis. Sorry, Cordell Patterson. We're getting somebody that can run the ball, and we can utilize you in your roles as we see fit. But man, I think the Falcons could be doing a lot of picking on offense with their draft. I mean, if you go to the draft and you have one wide receiver on your roster, and I know there's free agency, but if you go to the draft and you have two wide receivers on your roster, I think you got to draft a couple. Hey, probably need to draft a running back. And I know that's not sexy necessarily when you're like, hey, we need some D linemen. But, I mean, what are you going to do? Run Matt. Hey, Matt, we brought you back, man. We restructured your contract. We really appreciate you doing us a solid. Who's my wide receivers? Some cat named Kevin Thomas. He came off the radio, was going to run routes out there. Go get him, big man. Like, no. You got to do better than that for Matt Ryan. All right, moving along. Take three. Who, in your estimation, Ben, becomes the leader of the Freddie-less Atlanta Braves?
Oh, that's easy. I mean, I think it is. I think it is Ronald Acuna. I mean, I think that's the easy answer. I mean, because I think he understands how to do it now. Like people say, well, why would you say that? When he first comes in, he's still a phenom. He's still going to be incredible. But I think too, though, Kevin, it might be by committee. which is kind of what you want too. Obviously, it's going to be all about Ronald Acuna, right? I know, Mr. I just know that like when you start talking about Ozzie, Austin Riley, Max Fried, Ian Anderson, because you got key contributors at every like major position, shortstop, second base, pitcher, reliever, and that's what's gonna make, because I think the culture is something that's not. But I talk about it a lot when you think about the Braves, though, Kevin. When you think about a guy like Freddie Freeman, that's another thing we don't talk about. He finally got to say, "All right, I know I'm the man, but I don't got to be that guy every day." If Freddie Freeman was playing relaxed, that's dangerous for your opponent, because now he was playing that well under stress. Now, all right, I can relax. Freddie, I think it's gonna be Ronald Acuna. It's gonna be all about Ronald Acuna. Kevin, but I mean, I just think that when you think about what Ozzie has done, when you think about what Austin Riley has done, when you think about what Dansby has done, when you think about what Max Fried has done, and who knows how Soroka's going to be when he get back. It's going to be leadership by committee, which is going to be, because I just think when you on a team that everybody it's like this. When I'm watching, they showing Ozzie and Ronald Acuna out there joking with each other. I got to see that. I don't want to see Ronald Acuna Jr. being all professional.
Oh, he did hit everybody with the "I'm back" after blasting a home run.
I just think that it's gonna be, obviously the face is Ronald Acuna. It was gonna be Ronald Acuna, even Freddie Freeman would have re-signed. But I think it's gonna be kind of leadership by committee, because we can share the load now, man. I think everybody has kind of grown up over the last 3 or 4 years. I mean, these guys. I mean, how many guys are all-stars? Austin Riley? I mean, wasn't going to win no MVP, but putting up big time numbers. So a lot of guys have grown up, learned what it's going to take. And hey, man, I like the leadership by committee, even though when Ronald Acuna blast that first homer, well, here we go again.
Yeah.
Because I do think a guy like Ronald Acuna, I do want him selfishly to kind of get that 40-40. Because, man, he flirted so close, which, I mean, they ain't going to pitch to him, once he started getting close to it. But, yeah, I think it's going to be leadership by committee.
I look at, and I don't know that it's going to be, it might be Acuna on the field, but I still wonder if, and he's gotten better at it, because he still needs to have the interpreter to help. I mean, he's never shied away from answering questions, but the guy you can go to every day and get that quote, I think it's going to be Ozzie Albies. And you say, well, he's still kind of young. It's true. He is kind of a young guy, but I think you look at Ozzie's been in the league a little bit now. And as you start making that transition, you're no longer the young, fresh face. You still got a fresh looking face, but you kind of start looking at these things by seniority. You, Max Fried, all of a sudden went from the young pups to, hey, wait a minute. We're the old guys that have been here a hot minute. And so I think those are the guys, to me, that kind of set the tone. You take, as you said, you take what Chipper Jones taught Freddie Freeman and what Freddie Freeman taught you about being the face and the leader of a franchise, and it's time to put it into practice. And I think for Ozzie Albies, Max Fried, they're going to be those guys to do it. I think Austin Riley could be, but Austin Riley's like a second, third year player. I don't think you throw that on him.
Yeah.
So I say Ozzie Albies, Max Fried probably going to end up in those roles before it's all said and done. That's take 3. We do it every day at this time. We got so much more to get to here on the show. Of course, Matt Olson's got a nice new contract with the Atlanta Braves. We'll get to that and more. NFL free agency has been absolutely wild as well. It's 3 and Out on the Southern Pigskin Radio Network. Well, Alex Anthopoulos, you can't ever accuse him of not staying busy. Matt Olson trade yesterday caught a lot of people in their feels, obviously, about Freddie Freeman. And hey, we love Freddie Freeman, but you had to make a non-emotional move, apparently, for the ball club. And you say, well, it was all about the money. I don't know if it was all about the money between the Braves, because before you could even get Matt Olson to the introductory press conference, he signed an 8-year deal worth $165 million. So the Braves obviously had some money. Now, is that as much as Freddie was going to get?
No.
No. But you locked up a hometown player.
Come on.
For 8 years.
Come on.
And he's maxing out $22 million on this thing, which is going to be about 13 less than what Freddie was going to be making a year. And you got a player that's really, really good. So, I mean, Matt Olson said, look, as soon as I got traded here, my agent got on the phone and said, hey, they want to work out an extension. And he said, do it. I want to be I'm from Atlanta. This is an opportunity for me to play, for my hometown team. They're a contender. They're young. They got guys on friendly deals. Let's do it. And got an 8-year deal done basically overnight while Matt Olson was getting from Arizona to Florida.
Matt Olson is on the contract for the next 8 years. You know who else is on the contract for the next 8 years? That would be Ronald Acuna Jr. I think he still has 8 years left on his deal. And look, I give Alex Anthopoulos a lot of credit. We talk about him like he's not one of the best GMs in sports. Look at what he's done. He's done all this in 4 years. The hardest decision he's ever had to make is understand. The hardest decision was not that they did not re-sign Freddie Freeman. It's that Freddie Freeman wanted more money. No, we did try to re-sign Freddie Freeman. He wanted more money. But look what we got in spite of him. And the thing too, Matt Olson understands, man, this Braves team, man. I mean, I see what they be doing. I see these guys battling out with the Astros, and they got to deal with the Phillies and the Mets. They got to deal with the Nationals. Then they're going toe-to-toe with the Dodgers. Because here's the thing that should scare anybody in the National League about the Braves. Now, when it comes to this Braves lineup, it is nasty. It is nasty any way you want to do it. Even if Soler is going to be the DH, I mean, it's going to be nasty. Then you add another bat in Olson. You add now people say, is he going to give you 39 home runs? No, but he's going to give you at least 25. That's a Golden Glove. So he's giving you on both ends. Who does that sound like? Sound like Freddie Free to me? When you talk, his WAR was better than Freddie Free. Does that mean he's better than Freddie Free? No. But I'm going to stop talking about Olson and Freddie Free in the same sense, because Freddie Free is no longer Brave. Appreciate the contributions. Now it's about Olson. But then, Kevin, when you start talking, look, do the Braves got a pitching staff like the Dodgers? Nope, but they can go toe-to-toe with anybody. So when you think about all these things they have done, Alex Anthopoulos said, look, Olson said, I want to be a Brave. The Yankees was also going after him. They didn't get him. Think about that. He's a Brave, hometown guy. Get the contract extension, and it's cap friendly. It's gonna be a freaking different CBA by the time his contract is up. But I give Alex Anthopoulos a lot of credit, man. He was choked up yesterday, talking about the Freddie Free situation. I like how he said before I know it's hard to not get news to me, but hey, 8-year extension on Mr. Olson. And I think he's gonna fit in just fine, Kevin. I just think that, Mike Soroka is coming back. Ian Anderson has grown up a lot. Ian Anderson first started in the majors against the freaking Yankees. Second start against the Red Sox. Pitched in the postseason 2 years. Pitched in the World Series last year. Max Fried. I mean, wow. I mean, we talking about Max Fried when it was supposed to be Mike Fonavis. We just completely forgot about him. With everything that is going on. So I do think that, number one, yeah, you had to give up some stuff, but Christian Pache but I do think, Kevin, I trust this Braves farm system. And like I said, it seems that Josh Donaldson, who is no longer Brave, who's a Yankee now, everybody that they get, they fit right in when it comes to this lineup, because that's how dangerous it is. You add Olson to already lineup that might have, Soler, might have Marcelo Zuna. He might be in there. I just think that, for me, I give Alex Anthopoulos a lot of credit. He said, look, with all these people spending a lot of money to get players, but they ain't making it to the playoffs. They making all-star teams. They doing home run derbies. We're doing it the Braves way. And, Kevin, you know how it go. All they have to do is work. Now, when people say, well, what about Ronald Acuna Jr. come up? To every rule, there's an exception. And if it's going to be an exception, but that's down the line. I mean, right now, Ronald Acuna Jr. wants to say, hey, man, I want to get back to where I was, because I think in 2 out of his 4 years in the majors, where it didn't have a full rookie year, I think got hurt running the bases or something. The one year, obviously, coming off an injury this year, Very, very dangerous team, Kevin. I'm looking forward to having Olsen in there, and I think Alex Anthopoulos, he's running circles around these lot of GMs who, while they got deep pockets, they ain't really getting that return on investment at this point.
And again, I think what he has done has been nothing short of fantastic because the worst thing you can do in Major League Baseball, there is no salary cap. There's a CBT. Steve Cohen with the Mets said, I don't care. I'll go way over. I'll pay every luxury tax you want. It's fine. Braves are still working within the budget. And I said, Matt Olson, there's an option year on the end of that 8 years, which is a club option. So technically there's a 9th year on there for $22 more million. So you got Matt Olson for 9 years. Let's look at the core. Ronald Acuna, 7 more years. Ozzie Albies, 6 more years. Austin Riley, 4 more years until he comes off of arbitration and eligibility and has to have a deal done. So I imagine he's not going to get, if he keeps playing the way he's playing, he's not going to get to he's not going to get to the end of that 4 years. Ian Anderson, 5 more years. Max Fried, 3 more years. Mike Soroka, again, we'll see, coming off of 2 Achilles injuries. You never know, but he's got 3 more years of control. So you have pieces under control for a while. And so when people look at this Braves team and say, man, how good can they be? I mean, the core of this team ain't going anywhere for at least 3 or 4 years. I mean, this thing is there, set, ready to go. And Alex Anthopoulos has done a good job.
He's 28. Everybody else is what, 24, 25?
Yeah, pretty young. So
wow. I just think sometimes, Kevin, we get caught up. Good look. Yeah, man. I was just looking at something about, Francisco Lindor, and you got Tatis, you got, Bryce Harper. I mean, you got, Mike Trout. Guess what? None of them guys can beat the Braves. Most of those guys didn't even make it to the playoffs. The Nationals got rid of Bryce Harper. They win the World Series the next year. So all I'm saying is, it's great to have stars. Is there a bigger superstar? Than Ronald Acuna Jr.? Maybe. Yeah, Mike Trout. Yeah,
not many.
But
if there is, yeah.
When they was ranking the top players in the majors, the Braves had 2 in the top 10 or top 15. That would be Freddie Freeman, Ronald Acuna Jr. All I'm saying is, as good as Olsen is away from the Braves with the Oakland A's, now he's on a team that contends with a player like Ronald Acuna Jr. I just think that this lineup is going to be nasty, Kevin, for a while.
And I will say, and again, I want to just throw that in there because I want to get your thoughts on it because I think this is important. You're a professional athlete, right? You want to win, yes. Of course. And you go out there and try to earn your paycheck. That yes. I'm not saying that. How much different would your outlook have been on your career if, in the middle of it, Ben Troop would have wound up from the Tennessee Titans, 4 and 5 wins, to say the Pittsburgh Steelers? Like, you go from a team that's kind of middling around out there. The A's are kind of cheap, and when it gets expensive and your contract comes up, you're probably not going to stay. But you go from that to a team that contends, a team that competes, a team that expects to win. I mean, how much different does that change your outlook just as a player? I mean, you were a good player in Oakland. You're going to be a good player in Atlanta, but how much does that kind of just change the outlook when you show up to the ballpark going, man, everybody in this place thinks we're going to win it all?
It's everything.
Can we scrape together an all-star for $2 million? I mean, that is just a change in attitudes and scenery here for him.
Man, Kevin, it's everything. Look, it's like this. Kevin, you announce games on during the fall. Yeah. Just imagine if all you got to do is show up. Like, you show up, everything's set up already. Hey, Kevin, what? We got you in this air-conditioned booth? What? We got you these big-time cameras and whatever, all these different angles. We got you the best mics because you're great at what you do. But when you add something to greatness, look at what it does. You don't believe me? The Tampa Bay Bucks were a sleeping giant. They had players. They needed a piece. Here comes Tom Brady now. Oh, Bruce Arians. Bruce Arians is the same coach. He got Tom Brady, right? When you talk about this Braves team, when Olsen said, man, I want to be guys, man, I grew up a Braves fan, man. I was here when Jason Hayward, hit his opener. I want to be there. And he goes, man, I was a great player. And obviously I'm a big fan of Freddie Freeman, man. He's the gold standard right now at the at the first base position, man. But I'm right there, and I'm younger. I want to be a break. It makes the total difference. I'll give you an example. When we got Vince Young, it's a breath of fresh air because we had just lost. We had just lost Mac 9. We had just lost Steve McNair. So we're thinking, hey, dude, and so I'm sitting there and I'm saying, dude, Because sometimes, Kevin, it's that different energy. You say, all right, man, let's do this. Now, did we go through some growing pains my third year? Yeah. But we also went 8-8. Vince Young started the last 8 games of the season. He won 8 games. That's how he won Rookie of the Year. He didn't even start the year. That next year, hey man, it's starting to click. And Kevin, the hardest thing to do is to have a winning culture consistently. All Ronald Acuna Jr. know is winning. Since he's been there, I hear about these dark ages, man. But I'm sorry, that's just like OKC used to be the Seattle Supersonics. OKC didn't go through a losing season because you had Kevin Durant, and then you had Russell Westbrook, and then you had James Harden. How has it been since? There ain't much to talk. So I do think you pairing a superstar with complementary players that don't mind being that Robin to that Batman, and you got a winning culture with a guy that Anderson Anthopoulos is gonna take care of you. That's gonna get guys at the trade deadline. Man, it makes the biggest difference in the world because I talk to guys that played at Pittsburgh. I talk to guys that played in New England. I talk to guys that played in winning franchises, and the one thing they said is, dude, you can feel it. Like you walk in, the expectation is super duper high, but look at how well guys are playing. It's one thing when you got a really, really good player on a really, really bad team, and he's getting the interview because he's that guy, compared to, hey man, if a really, really good player says, man, go talk to that kid over there. Why? Because that kid is going to be the next up. Ooh, that kid over, yeah. I think that kind of stuff is important. But you're right. A change of scenery with the right mix of players, with a winning atmosphere. Because, Kevin, if winning and losing is your livelihood and all you do is lose, yeah, you're getting paid, but it suck. Because you got to deal with it every day. You avoid family members. But when you're winning, hey, man, invite the people over, man, let's have a get together. When you lose it, nah, man, I don't really feel like talking that much. It's worth.
And we got more to come here. It's 3 and Out on this Tuesday all across the Southern Pigskin Radio Network. Good to have you on this Tuesday. Kevin Thomas, Ben Troop, glad you are with us here on the show. And Ben, free agency in the NFL has been nuts. I mean, we've talked about all the things that have happened with, Major League Baseball, and they've had a whirlwind of signings, but the NFL has just been crazy. From Deshaun Watson wants to go to every team out there to, Randy Gregory. Ben, have you seen anything like that in the National Football League where you come out, hey, Randy Gregory's going to the Cowboys. He's going to resign. Actually, the Cowboys went as far as to put that out themselves on the social media to, whoops, actually, he's signing with the Denver Broncos. So we've actually had a guy allegedly finalize a deal to go to Cowboys and actually go to the Denver Broncos instead. So, we've seen a little bit of everything here in this free agency period.
Excuse me. This is the thing about the Randy Gregory situation. They said, so I saw that DeMarcus Lawrence, D-Law, re-signed. They restructured it, gave him a 4-year, $40 million deal. He said, we're going to bring back Randy Gregory. Going to year 7, 4 years, $70 million, $28 million a guarantee, which is what the contract really is, the guaranteed money.
Right.
So I said, all right, he's coming back. I said, he coming back to Dallas. He's coming to Dallas. And all of a sudden I said, wait a minute. Says he's going to Denver. So then I go, I'm thinking to myself, what's going on? So then, Kevin, we social media never lose. Somebody at Dallas go, no, you're wrong. They said, calm down. He's coming back to the Dallas Cowboys. Then they come out and say, that tweet has been deleted because he's going to Dallas. Woody Page, great Woody Page. I know our own Cody Queen, shout out to Cody, loves Woody Page. Woody Page says, quote, Randy Gregory is not a good fit for the Denver Broncos. That would be Chandler Jones. And right on that tweet, he put, never mind. Because because what you realize is, Kevin, now Anthony Barr, for those who don't know what Anthony Barr is, Anthony Barr, former first-round pick out of UCLA linebacker, got drafted by the Minnesota Vikings. He came up for free agent like a couple of years ago, and he was going to sign a big-time deal with New York. Now, he's flown to New York. You know how they take the picture? You see the Jets logo? He didn't sign it. He flew back to Minnesota and said it didn't go through. So it seems more unusual than it is, but it's because of who it is. Dallas doesn't usually lose guys that they drafted. And for those, think about Randy Gregory coming out of Nebraska, a guy that had his troubles, like getting suspended, getting injured. But to me, this is what I think happened. He was going to sign with the Dallas Cowboys. He got to talk with Jared Jones. Jared Jones gave him that slick talk, him and Stephen Jones. And he goes, and his agent goes, dude, you don't got to take that? What you mean? Man, who you rather play with? The Dallas Cowboys, the super duper underachievers? Or I just think at the end of the day, do you go with Denver? So he chose Denver. Hey, and he said, I want Bradley Chubb. I want, maybe Von Miller will come back. But yeah, Kevin, this is one of those things that Dallas can the PR machine on the Jerry Jones, he can't bandage this one up.
We got more to come. We'll chat with Rich Stiles, host of the Back Nine Boys Golf Show. When we return, it's 3 and Out, Southern Pigskin Radio Network. Good to have you back here on this Tuesday. Kevin Thomas, Ben Troop, glad you're making us a part of your day. Players Championship just finished yesterday as a lot of bad weather over the weekend, and a young winner that we don't know much about getting ready for the Masters here in a couple of weeks. Rich Stiles, host of the Back Nine Boys Golf Show, joins us. Rich, welcome. How are you?
I am doing much better than probably some of the pros that played down at the Players at Sawgrass.
Yeah, that was one of the weirder schedules we've seen for a tournament like that, to just try to cram a whole bunch of rounds in as best you can. But finish it up on Monday. You had a young man pick up a win playing incredible golf, all things considered. What can you tell us about him?
Well, Cameron Smith is a great putter, and he showed it on Monday, final day, with 8 one-putts, which is incredible. Some of the putts were, 15, 20, 25 feet. And, when you one-putt 8 greens, either to make a birdie or save par, you just have a great chance of winning. And nobody was really pushing him. One of the guys pushing him was Paul Casey until he got to 16, and his ball ended up in a plug lie. And I don't understand why they wouldn't let him take it out of that, because I just don't understand. But they didn't. He ended up making par on the hole, but I think that lost him a chance to win the tournament. But Cameron Smith's a great player. With the mullet, it's just, he just played well.
And Rich, a guy like Cameron Smith, obviously everybody's talking about his shot on the 17th, the dreaded 17th. What is the best strategy when it comes? Because I've seen so many guys, they're trying to aim to the left, aim to the right of the pin. What is the best strategy for the 17th, which obviously was a shot to remember for a guy like Cameron Smith?
Well, when you're coming into a tournament and after you leave 14 or 16, the par 5, and you're looking at 17 as you're walking across, and it's not a short walk. It's a pretty good walk. You're looking at that, and you're looking where the pin is, and it's like, hey, just let me get on the green, let me 2-putt and get out of here, and let me try for 18, of which he birdied. But, that's the strategy. It's just don't blow it. Don't make the big mistake. Make sure you have the right club. Commit to the club, and just make sure you get it on the green.
Rich, obviously, speaking of strategy, what's the strategy here next couple of weeks, depending on who you are out there on the PGA Tour with the Masters coming up?
Well, some of the guys will take off the next 2 weeks and, just rest. And it may be because of what happened at the Players, because it was such a long tournament. Paul Casey said it's the only tournament I've ever been in where I had 2 full days where I didn't play. And so, it's exhausting mentally, physically. Some of them may play this week at the Valspar and then play next week at Texas and then go to the Masters. Some will take off this week, go to Texas, and make that kind of a get ready for the Masters kind of weekend. It just depends on how they're playing, how they're feeling, especially after this long Players tournament. It'll be interesting to see. But again, I think they will take at least 1 week off. Not sure if it'll be next week, but for sure, if they do next week, it'll be the week after.
And Rich, what do you think is the best strategy? As you mentioned, certain guys going to try to, certain guys, they're very, very structured when it comes to their approach to the game of golf. They want to play as much golf as possible to make sure they're going into the Masters. They're still used to the routine. And as you mentioned, certain guys saying, look, because of the Players, I want to be able to take some time off. In your estimation, what do you think is the best strategy with the Masters rapidly approaching?
Well, I think it kind of depends. There's a lot of guys. I know Harris English worked with his coaches and his team, and his strategy for the last couple of years has been play 3 tournaments, take 2 weeks off. Play 3 tournaments, take 2 weeks off. So a lot of them don't like to play 4, 5, 6 weekends in a row because it's draining from a mental standpoint, from a physical standpoint, from a competitive standpoint. So it just depends on how they feel right now after the Players and the elongated Players that they had with the stop and go of everything, whether or not they feel they've got the stamina to play 3 more tournaments, and one of those including the Masters. I would think they would want to get at least some kind of a rest between now and the Masters in order to get ready for the big major.
Rich Stiles, host of the Back Nine Boys Golf Show, joining us. Rich, speaking of that, I know you and I were talking before you came on here about, Phil has been in the news so much, and the talk of Phil just needs to step aside and go away for a little while. And now, as you said, you're seeing some guys call for Phil not to go to the Masters. And I know people say, well, maybe he wasn't going to play, but as a former champion, you get invited to participate in a lot of things. I'm guessing the calls like, don't even do that. How much more of that do you think picks up the closer we get to Augusta? And do you think at the end of the day, if Phil's there and doesn't play, it's maybe not a big deal?
Well, I think the Masters from history does not want anything pulling away from the Masters. And Phil definitely, by showing up, would take away. Will he show up for the Champions Dinner? I mean, we don't know. Not a lot of people have talked to him. Jay Monahan has said that he's trying to, he would talk to Phil, but, Phil has not contacted him. So Monahan is waiting for a call from Phil, and who knows if that's even going to happen. But, Phil's a former champion, and he has the right to go. But, with everything that has gone on, he may realize, hopefully through his PR team, if he has one, that, maybe I should just take a couple weeks, couple months, and just kind of let all this settle down and then maybe slowly ease back. We are a very forgiving society. And a lot of the guys on the tour have said, well, everybody deserves second chances. I think Phil's had more than one chance based on a lot of things in his career. But showing up at the Masters, I'm kind of on the fence. Some writers are saying he should not. But I just think it'll take away too much from what has been known as, kind of the best tournament around and the legend of Bobby Jones and everything else. I don't know. Maybe it'd be best if he just kind of turned on Netflix and watched Bagger Vance.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say, Rich. I mean, when you think about how everything now with the presence of social media, how polarizing everything is now, I do agree. I do think a guy like Phil deserves a second chance, but it's all about time and place, right? When you think about how unified the players on the tour seem to be when it comes to this, because obviously they got to answer hard questions when it comes to a fellow colleague of theirs, but they don't want that. They don't want that to be the focus at the Masters, as you mentioned. It doesn't get much prestigious than that. Do you think when it's all said and done, I mean, Phil does hopefully listen to his PR team and said to themselves, look, man, you can only do more harm because no matter what you say, anything you say that's taken the wrong way is only going to add to already all this baggage you carry.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're right. I mean, he wrote a 6-paragraph apology, and the bottom line is, he didn't take any responsibility for what he said. I mean, he attacked the PGA Tour, then he attacked the Saudi Golf. He hasn't, I think, gone through the process of, maybe I did screw up. Maybe I shouldn't have said those things. Maybe I should apologize for what I said. I don't think he's gone through that. Maybe that's what he's doing now by taking some time off. And it's much needed time off because he's put a lot of pressure on himself, a lot of pressure on any tournament that he's going to go, because the bottom line is if he has a media talk with the folks at the next tournament, that it's going to be all about what he said about the Saudi tour, and it's going to take away from the tournament. And I'm not sure he'd be able to concentrate on playing golf. So, who knows? But bottom line is the Masters is the Masters, and they don't want anybody to take away from what the Masters is and has been for such a long time.
Well, certainly. Rich Stiles, host of the Back Nine Boys Golf Show, our guest Saturday and Sunday mornings at 8 a.m. You can catch Rich. Rich, who do you have coming up this weekend?
Well, this weekend we've got the former golf coach for Michael Jordan, Ed Ibargouin, who is the director of golf at Duke University, who, by the way, when Michael started to play golf, was the head pro at Finley, which is the UNC golf course. And then he took a job at Duke, and Michael, even while he was playing basketball at Carolina, would go to Duke for his golf lessons. So that will be interesting. Ed has got a lot of stories, not many that he can tell on the air, but he's got a lot of stories about MJ, and he's just such a great guy. I've known Ed for quite a while.
I've say, looking forward to that coming up this weekend. Saturday and Sunday mornings, 8 a.m. Rich Styles, Back Nine Boys Golf Show. Rich, always a pleasure. Thank you much.
All right, guys. Thank you very much.
Appreciate it. Rich Styles joining us. And again, I know it's going to be interesting to watch Phil and how they approach that. Ben, I know you spent time around Augusta. I mean, the Masters is all about the Masters. As Rich said, it's the one golf tournament where they say anything. I remember when the protests were going on about, hey, why don't you have any women members? We're going to protest your sponsors. The Masters said, fine, we won't have any sponsors. We're going to have the golf tournament. I mean, that is they go so far as like, hey, we don't want people coming in here saying, why you got a sandwich for $12? No, it's $2. You can have a, the pimento cheese sandwich. And so I think that kind of leads me where Rich is thinking, say like, Phil probably be better off if you just don't show.
Yeah, I hope Phil makes the right decision and just choose to sit this one out, Kevin, because like I said, he could do more harm than good. Phil, listen to your PR people, man. Sit this one out.
Final hour coming up around the corner. It is 3 and Out all across the Southern Pigskin Radio Network, streaming live at ESPNCoastal.com. Final hour here of 3 and Out. So much to get to here on the program. NFL free agency been nuts. The Braves lock up Matt Olson, so he's not even a Brave for 24 hours, and he gets an 8-year deal with a 9th-year club option. So Matt Olson, if you're upset about him being here, well, first off, he's a great player, so shame on you.
Yep.
I understand you're upset about Freddie Freeman, but if you're upset with Matt Olson at first baseman, that's a you problem. He's going to be here for 9 years, I would imagine. 8 at least, probably 9. $22 million on the back end of the year. Very club-friendly deal. Going to get paid, certainly. And Ben, I was watching a show last night, obviously, with all the news going down. I went home and was watching, MLB Network. And it just so happened that they're starting a series leading up to the season, like, who's the best? And they're going position by position each night. Who's the best right now? And they have guests on to talk about it. And at the end, they're revealing their top 10 based on computer metrics, right? It's like, who is the best based on statistical data? And then they ask people, guessing who come on what they think. Number 1 first baseman in baseball right now is Freddie Freeman. Matt Olson was number 3. And some of the folks on there were saying, hey, Matt Olson could be number 1 in a season or 2. So, Braves fans, it stinks. Freddie's gone. But the guy you got, you better start loving, because he's going to be there a while, and he's going to be good. And I think that first time he takes Max Scherzer deep, or, flexes on the Mets, flexes on those Phillies, you're going to be loving some Matt Olson at the end of the day.
I think Mac Olson, Kevin, one is built to be a Brave. Grew up. I mean, because think about this. We all have our hometown teams growing up. At one point, the Braves were the only thing in town until you started adding teams, like Tampa Bay and different things, right? Matt Olson got a deal done. His agent said, look, they want to get it done. So that was the best flight of his life, coming from Arizona to Atlanta. And then Kevin, too, the thing is, somebody go, I'm the number three first baseman in baseball. That means I'm the number 3 first baseman on the planet. Because what happens is, right, nobody's better than Freddie Freeman.
Not right now, yeah.
Not right now. But Matt Olson's coming off 39 home runs, 2 Golden Gloves, 28 years old. Grew up an Atlanta Braves fan. So this was his dream situation. But if somebody would have told him, look, the Braves are going to be coming up a World Series, Ronald Acuna Jr. is going to be coming off injury. You're gonna get an 8-year deal with an option of a 9th year. You already just bought a house in Atlanta, and the Braves are one of the hottest teams in baseball. This is the 4. I think they won this division 4 years in a row.
Yep.
I mean, he was like, I wouldn't believe it. Well, believe it. And you're going to be one of the elder statesmen at 28. These other guys are 24, 25. I'm telling you, Kevin, this has to make it for a really. Alex Anthopoulos, listen, number one, I apologize, Anthopoulos, because we looking at what Anthopoulos has to do on the field. He's walking by FBI agents. That's who he's walking by when he's taking his stuff in the office. We forget how bad this front office was when it comes to the Braves. And Kevin, it's almost like, and then think about it, and they give him snit. Man, you gonna give him snit? You gonna give out of all the freaking man and Mash made it happen. Cause Snit was like, look, man, my job is to not mess this thing up. My job is to tell a young budding transcendent talent like Ronald Acuna Jr. to yell at him because he ain't running out. He ain't running out, he could have got a double. He ain't running out. I just think that for me, Kevin, like we talked about in the first hour, the culture, the atmosphere, the momentum. They're coming off a World Series. And if you look at how much money is being spent just in that division, Braves don't got to do that. And this was really going to happen. What the other teams in that division going to say, hey, man, Alex, how y'all able to do this? Y'all ain't got to break the bank. Because when you break the bank on one player, it hamstrings you for everybody. You can't get nobody else. So we don't do it now. When Ronald Acuna Jr. come up, don't call my phone because that might be a little bit different. But I just think, Kevin, if you can't get, if Freddie Freeman got to move on, which he did, we wish you nothing but the best. Matt Olson is a great fill-in when you look at what he brings to the table. I mean, and we talked about that lineup. It's going to be lights out when you look at how far a lot of guys have come, in a very – I mean, Austin Riley is going into year 3, and the guy's already playing like he's a part of the greatest Braves infield and Braves. That's crazy.
Yeah.
And the only guy that's missing, so you're getting rid of Freddie Freeman, hopefully, but you still going to add, what, 25, 30 home runs.
At
Anything,
least, yeah.
at least, and his WAR was better than Freddie Freeman last year. That is not saying he's better, but Kevin, like you said, we could be a year away from having the best first baseman in baseball. When you think about the fact that he was a good player on a bad team, now he's a good piece on a budding great team. If you look at the fact the Braves 4 years in with Alex Anthopoulos, 4 years in the playoffs. I mean, went to the NLCS. Won the worst. Hey man, these Braves got to be way ahead of schedule.
Yeah,
at this point.
I think he's done it very smart. I think somebody made a post a little bit ago. It said Max Scherzer for the Mets this year is making $43.5 million just by himself. This year, Matt Olson, Ronald Acuna, and Ozzie Albies are making like 38. So you have three guys who are obviously, and Max Scherzer plays once a week. So
yeah, and those guys play every day.
Yeah, so I mean, I think Alex Anthopoulos has done a good job of putting a team together, doing it smartly, not looking at some other teams who are saying, look, I can give the superstar the 10-year deal. Just in year 7 or 8, we might be one of the worst teams in baseball because I can't get any help. Because he can't get rid of the contract, and we just can't go out and sign anybody else. So I think doing it smartly, setting the team up both in the short term and long term, I don't feel like maybe 4 years from now, if Matt Olson does what people think he does, you might look at it and say, well, maybe he got underpaid. Well, you can talk about that then. But for right now, you are getting a steal. I think he's getting $15 million this year. Freddie Freeman was going to get 33 or 34. So you have saved a lot of money just on one player doing that. And I know it's not all about the money, but it is on business all about the money.
Yeah.
Alex Anthopoulos is saying, hey, Braves country, yeah, in Nirvana land, I can go give Freddie Freeman whatever he wants. Unfortunately, Liberty Media says, Alex, you can spend this much money. Go make it happen. We offered Freddie Freeman a fair deal. We were willing to work it. He said, no, I don't want that. And so they kept waiting. And finally, Alex Anthopoulos was like, I can't wait anymore. Because what you didn't want to have happen is Freddie Freeman signed with another team.
Yep.
Matt Olson gets traded to the Yankees. And now you're sitting there going, we have nobody in our farm system that's for major league ready as a first baseman. Nobody that projects as a big time player at first base in the minor leagues right now. What are we going to do? And oh, by the way, spring training games start in 2 days. All right, so that's where you didn't want to be. Freddie Freeman still hasn't signed with anybody. So let's put this into a situation. Let's say that deal doesn't happen yesterday. It's now Tuesday. Freddie Freeman still hasn't signed. Now the Padres' name is being come up. So you're Alex Anthopoulos going, we're trying. The Yankees are trying. The Padres are trying. The Blue Jays are trying. The Rays are trying. And the Dodgers are trying. And we're trying to get in this mix. And oh, by the way, we have to put a team out on the field in 2 days to play Grapefruit League games to build towards the season. Right now, it's a guy that nobody's ever heard of that would be out there playing first base. That can't happen. I'm going to go ahead and make the move now and be done with it. And that's what happened. And again, I give him a lot of credit. So we'll see what Matt Olson does. Ben, I want to also hit in this segment because it could be, depending on how it goes down, a wild 3 or 4 days in Atlanta sports. Freddie Freeman's obviously not coming back. And now you get, I don't know how real you think this is, but hey, Falcons are a sleeper for Deshaun Watson. For the same reasons that Matt Olson's a good fit. You say, Deshaun's from Metro Atlanta or from Gainesville, just outside of Atlanta. I know it's probably too far out there to be considered Metro, but anybody from Gainesville will say, I'm from Gainesville, Georgia. Where's that? Basically Atlanta. All right, so Deshaun Watson's from the general vicinity of Atlanta. He played close by. He has a relationship with your owner. He used to ball boy for the team. Warwick Dunn, Falcons great, built his parents' house, his mom's house. There is a relationship there. Falcons are a dark horse. Obviously, if that's true, then Matt Ryan's gone. You could have two kind of iconic players on their way out of Atlanta within the span of a week. That would be huge. Ben, how realistic, though, is Deshaun Watson? I know people see it go, oh, because nobody was talking about this 24 hours ago. Oh, it's Carolina, it's New Orleans, maybe it's somebody else. Then all of a sudden today it's, hey, there's a sleeper team in the Deshaun Watson sweepstakes, and it's the Atlanta Falcons. And everybody goes, what? How realistic is that?
It is. It's realistic for one reason and one reason only. Terry Fontenot. Terry Fontenot spent 18 years with the New Orleans Saints, Kevin, and he got out of there at the right time. Why? Because he knew Drew Brees was retiring. He knew Sean Payton wasn't going to be far behind. You literally lost those two iconic players, player and coach, back-to-back seasons. Terry Fontenot understands how to maneuver. Terry Fontenot knows how to build through the draft. Terry Fontenot understands how to build a franchise. And Kevin, with everything you mentioned, I mean, how many players can say they got some ties to the owner? You know, got certain ties to a player like Warwick Dunn, who still works with Atlanta Falcons as far as like what he's doing, with Habitat for Humanity, different things that he's doing. So I mean, Kevin, and the reason why I say it is because as Terry Fontenot understands the numbers. Terry Fontenot knows, look, man, because Tom Brady's back, because we have what the second best quarterback in the division and the worst team in the division, what are we gonna do? Give us time to try to build it. How do we start building? If you can get Deshaun Watson, okay, that's gonna at least go. Okay, at least we got the guy. Now, how do you get guys around the guy? You're gonna have to get some monopoly money because but I will say it does have some legs, Kevin, because the whole thing about it is Terry Fontenot has been in the GM position almost 2 decades. He knows how to get it done. Now, will he get it done? That's another thing, but I definitely think it bodes well because number one, Houston is very, very serious about getting Deshaun Watson as far away from them as possible so they can start over. But there's a ransom, and then there is, you're going to have to give a lot. I mean, 3 first, 2 second, and players. You're going to have to give up a lot, but we'll see. But, I mean, if Terry Fontenot can pull it off, Kevin, I mean, everybody talking trash about Matt Ryan because we here. If Matty Ice is gone, that is going to send some shockwaves through Atlanta, regardless of who even if it's Deshaun Watson, because once again, Freddie Freeman gave us 12. I want to say Matty Ice going to year 13, 14. So that's 2 iconic
and went to
players.
a Super Bowl.
Yeah, who went to a Super Bowl. One won a World Series. One went to a Super Bowl. One gave us a regular season MVP, NL MVP. Other gave us a regular season. I mean, he's going to be missed, but I'm going to have to wait on. That's going to be the breaking news of all breaking news if that does actually occur.
Give me a chance you think it actually happens. Like 1 out of 10. 10 being it's going to happen, 1 like it ain't going to happen.
3. Because the whole thing, Kevin, is what you mentioned. It's almost like while you can get him, you have to bargain so much. You got to give away a lot. And you really don't have anything. Like, I mean, I know it's crazy, but you got to give away. I mean, Grady Jarrett is probably going to be in that deal. They're going to want, if you're Houston, you're going to say, you're going to want, I got to get a quality player. I know we're getting Matty Ice. What about ID? Because who plays for Houston? Exactly.
The same guy that plays receiver for the Falcons.
Exactly. So, so Mr. Whatchamacallit Jr. plays over there in Houston. And it is, I give it a 3, Kevin, but that will be shocking. And Kevin, just like I know, I would want to see, not name Matty Ice, how many other players you got to give up and how many, because you need every draft pick you can if you are the Falcons at this point.
Yeah, I think that the price is a nice thing, and maybe you're in it. I think maybe the Falcons are in it to drive the price up on Carolina, on New Orleans, because, again, you hear Ben say 3, number 1. Come on. Like, that's what reportedly was turned down.
Yes.
Right? I mean, somebody offered that, and they're like, nope. So if you're the Falcons, if you can keep driving that up, if he does go to Carolina, are they going to be crippled from a draft standpoint where it's like you have no first-round draft picks for a couple of years, maybe no 2s? Like, if you want high draft capital, you're going to have to trade away other draft capital in order to get those picks back. Like, could it be a long building process if you're Carolina if the price is that steep? That's what I worry about with Atlanta, Ben, is Deshaun Watson would be nice. That Lamborghini sitting in the driveway would be nice.
Yes.
But if I can't buy the gas for it,
come on. I mean,
I don't know what
you can't buy gas for the Kia, boy.
Yeah.
So when it comes to the Lambo, number one, you got to get the top of everything. You listen. Ain't no 87. You over there in 93 every day. I mean, like I said, Kevin, you have to entertain it, but I think it's more window shopping than anything.
And we'll see what happens here with the Falcons. But they were brought up as a sleeper in this whole thing, which means you hate to hear sleeper, like it could be a long shot, but that they are at least serious about trying to pick up Deshaun Watson. We'll certainly follow that story. We've got more to come. Busy day in free agency for sure. Jaguars were very, very, very busy, and we will chat when we come back with Demetrius Harvey. Big Cat Country. Jags have done a lot of overhauling and retooling. How much better have they gotten in the last 24 hours? We'll talk to Demetrius Harvey next. It's 3 and Out, Southern Pigskin Radio Network. It is 3 and out here on this Tuesday. Ben, Jaguars have been some big-time spenders here early on in free agency. Joining us here to talk about that from Big Cat Country, Demetrius Harvey joins us here on 3 and out. Demetrius, welcome to the show. How are you?
I'm doing all right. How about yourself?
Good. We knew the Jags had money to spend. They brought in a lot. What was the best pickup yesterday, in your opinion, of the number of moves that the Jaguars did?
Yeah, they brought in, or they're going to bring in 6 guys, it seems like. And to me, the best pickup, and it kind of comes with a caveat, but Brandon Scherff, he's a guy who is a 5-time Pro Bowler. He made the All-Pro team a couple times. He's clearly one of the best guards in the league. The only issue is he can't stay healthy. He's missed so many games over the course of his career and even in the past couple seasons. So it's a risky gamble where you're putting a right guard in there that may or may not actually stay healthy for the entire season. But if he does, and he's easily their best pickup, I think that he's a guy who immediately comes in and makes the offensive line better. And I think that they needed him. They needed a guy to come in. They were already losing A.J. Cann. They were losing Andrew Norwell at left guard. They were losing a multitude of players who they needed to just plug and play somebody, and Brandon Scherff definitely makes the list.
Demetrius, when you look at the fact that obviously the Jags, as Kevin mentioned, was going to be big-time spenders. They go out there, they get Christian Kirk, they get Zay Jones. You're going to get, hopefully, a healthy Travis Etienne. You look at that offensive line. How much better have these guys already got in free agency before you even get to the draft?
Yeah, people can make up what they want about the amount they spent and, did you overpay Christian Kirk? Why are you bringing in Zay Jones? The point is, though, they definitely got better. They got better at the receiver position. Last season was abysmal. You had Tavon Austin at the slot, who is a guy who, frankly, he probably wouldn't have been in the NFL if it wasn't for Urban Meyer and the Jaguars for signing him. So if you're going to go after it in the sense of did they get better overall, I think that there's no question. Christian Kirk is a guy who clearly hasn't reached his, ceiling per se. Maybe he's gotten close to it, or who knows how much more he has to grow, but clearly he's a guy that can come in and immediately help you stretch the field from the slot position. I think that that's where he's best served, and I think that they immediately got better at the receiver position, and then obviously offensive guard, they got better. Having Zay Jones come in, I'm not quite sure how I feel about that signing, only because he hasn't produced at the level that you would want to see. But he's a guy who is a sure-handed catcher. He's going to make plays if he gets the ball thrown to him. So I don't see why not to bring a guy in at least as a body. And then obviously on the defensive side of the football, they've upgraded at linebacker. We already saw that they released Miles Jack. So there's a couple guys in there, Foye Olakun. I'm not exactly sure how to pronounce his name. And then Foley, the defensive tackle, who's going to come in and be basically a big-time run stopper for them. So I think overall they did get better. Can they have more room to grow? Absolutely, and I think that they're not done during the free agency period, and I think obviously the draft.
And Demetrius, I saw you tweet out earlier today, they still have, as you said, room towards the cap, even with the hit they might take for Miles Jack. $6 million or so after you factor out the rookie pool, right?
Yeah, after you factor out the rookie pool, they have about, I believe it's around, it should be around 12 or 14 million because you add in that Miles Jack is saved, but that also doesn't account for Evan Ingram, who's coming in apparently at $9 million guaranteed. It doesn't account for Foley, who has $30 million, 10 per, and I think 20 million guaranteed. And then also the Zay Jones signing, he has a $8 million per year contract. So you still have to factor those kind of guys in. I still think that they're not done in terms of making moves, but they will have to, clear up some cap space. They're going to have to at least cut maybe Brandon Linder at $9 million savings, and then figure out where to go from there. But it's going to be interesting to see how they figure everything out, and if so, are they going to be making even more moves? I still think there's at least one more signing yet to come.
And Demetrius, when you think about this Jags team, when you think about this division as a whole, obviously if they can find a way to tackle Derrick Henry up there, with the Titans, and you don't know what the Houston Texans are going to do with Deshaun Watson having a lot of suitors, and the Colts don't even have a quarterback. I mean, depending on how this draft going, depending on how much of a jump Trevor Lawrence can have from year 1 to year 2 with all the additions before you even get to the draft, how much of a jump can this young Jaguars team make in year 2 with a new head coach, Doug Peterson?
Yeah, they have a chance to make a pretty big jump. I mean, obviously they've only won 4 games over the last 2 seasons, so it's not as though they have a long ways to go in order to make that jump. But I do think that, given that the division is sort of in flux, I know that the Titans are still in the lead there. They have the defense. The offense isn't really changing very much. It still should be the best team in the league. But yeah, the Texans are in shambles. They're not going to have Deshaun Watson. I mean, obviously that was clear last season as well, but they haven't really done too much to upgrade that quarterback room right now. They have Davis Mills, who to me right now is not the guy that you want to move forward with for the foreseeable future, but we'll see, because they have no other choice. And then you have the Colts, who they are in desperate need of a quarterback. There's rumors out there that maybe they'll go after a Jimmy Garoppolo or someone like that, and that would make sense. They have plenty of cap space, so they might get a little better there. But yeah, the Jaguars, they have a lot of moves that they need to make. They still have to add more receivers. They still have to figure out their defense in its entirety. Obviously, cutting Miles Jack, now they have a hole again at linebacker. So you're sitting there thinking, hey, if they can get these pieces in, perhaps they can do something. I know that the offense certainly is going to be upgraded. Christian Kirk coming in is a guy that Trevor Lawrence is going to grow to love, and as long as he can stay healthy, and then as long as they still upgrade the receiver position throughout the draft and maybe more in free agency, then I think that it could be pretty solid. I mean, overall, I think that they're just going to, get maybe a few games better. I'm not sure how much of a jump. I don't think they're going to be winning the AFC South this year, but yeah, they're definitely getting better.
Demetrius Harvey, Big Cat Country, joining us here on 3 and Out. Obviously, with the moves they've made in free agency, how does that change things with the draft? Given the moves they've made along the offensive line, it would seem obviously foolish for them to draft one of the tackles there at number 1. Are they sold on Aiden Hutchinson? Could they sneak and go get a Kyle Hamilton? Or are they potentially even looking at moving back?
Yeah, I mean, from everything I've heard recently, at least, it seems like Aiden Hutchinson is the guy you might as well just write in with a pen, because all the moves that they've done so far kind of point toward that. Now, they could still fool everybody and draft an Evan Neal and put him at guard, but taking a guard number 1 overall, you kind of have to be special. You have to be a Quentin Nelson, or maybe even better somehow, in order to take that guy at number 1, especially because they haven't addressed edge at all during free agency. It just seems like it's obvious they're going to go Aiden Hutchinson. It's a guy that Trent Baalke, I know, would like. Maybe if they can trade down, they'll go in a different direction. But for now, if they stay at number 1 and they don't make any more moves on the edge, I think that's a clear and obvious point. And who knows what's going to happen between now and the draft, but it just seems like they want to go all in on their offense. They want to go all in on making sure the offensive line is stable before they do anything else, and then moving forward, they're going to have to get somebody on defense.
Demetrius, when you think about a guy like Aiden Hutchinson, I mean, obviously he was a late bloomer. I mean, 4 sacks going into the 2021 season. You look at the year to end up being a Heisman Trophy finalist. Is he ready to deal with the fact that he's going to be a guy that's going to get double teamed a lot? I know people not going to want to bring up that Georgia film, but he's going to be going up against those caliber type tackles week in and week out. I mean, Josh Allen has proven to be a big time defensive end, even though he don't got a lot of help. Is Aiden Hutchinson ready to be that guy that gets drafted number 1 overall? You plug him in, and is he ready to be able to be more of a focal point?
Yeah, that's going to be the question that he's going to have to answer. I mean, it basically boils down to which kind of Aiden Hutchinson are you going to get? That Georgia tape obviously is something that no one wants to look at if you're talking about him in a positive light. But it's definitely something you have to think about. Is he going to be able to take on those double teams? Is he going to be stout enough against the run in order to play every down? I mean, I think that he's shown enough that he can do that. Absolutely. I think that he's shown he's athletic enough to do that, but there's still some concerns. He doesn't play as athletic as his numbers would indicate. He has an amazing 3-cone time, but if you watch him play, his bend and his hip, deflection and all those sort of terms, it doesn't correlate. It doesn't translate to what he should be able to do, and that's going to be the growing concern heading into the draft. And then after somebody drafts him, will he be able to do that? In terms of production, 14 sacks last year. I mean, there's no telling. That this guy is a good player, absolutely, but is he worth the number 1 overall pick? I think that absolutely can be debated.
Finally, Demetrius, it would appear, obviously, through their moves, the Jags are going to give Trevor Lawrence every opportunity to prove himself, right? We're protecting you. We're giving you guys to get the ball to. Is this kind of where the Jags find out where Trevor Lawrence is the pro quarterback here?
Yeah, absolutely. This is it. This is the year that pretty much you have to make sure that Trevor Lawrence obviously gets a few more weapons, but from what they're doing, this is going to be the year that you see whether or not he's going to blossom into the quarterback that you took at number 1 overall. If he puts up the same season as he did last year, then there's growing concerns, very deep concerns about how much is he going to grow, what's wrong with him, because they are adding pieces. Evan Ingram is coming in. Christian Kirk is coming in. I mean, you have other guys from last year. You have a new offense, and you have Doug Peterson and all these other quarterback coaches that they're bringing in to surround him. The excuses won't be as easy to make as they were last year during his rookie season. I think that he's going to live up to expectations. I think that this guy is going to be an outstanding quarterback, and I have no reason to think otherwise. And as long as they continue to add pieces, I can't stress that enough. Then I guess we'll see what happens.
Demetrius Harvey, Big Cat Country, our guest here on 3 and Out. Demetrius, appreciate the time. Thanks so much.
No problem. I appreciate you guys.
Appreciate it. Demetrius Harvey joining us here. The Jags have been very, very active, been adding pieces in free agency early. We got about 30 seconds. What were you most impressed with them yesterday?
I mean, when I didn't got Evan Ingram, something I talked to BJ about, Kevin, a guy that I still think has a lot left in the tank. You add Zay Jones, you add Christian Kirk, and Kevin, I think you make a good point. If you're talking about what they're trying to go all in, they're going all in second year. And listen, that's the Joe Burrow effect. You give him some weapons around him. With the offensive line, we'll see just how good or not Mr. Trevor Lawrence is going into year 2.
We've got more to come here. It's 3 and Out on the Southern Pigskin Radio Network. Good to have you along here on this Tuesday. Kevin Thomas, Ben Troop, glad you're making us a part of your day. Again, a lot happening in free agency, a lot happening, Ben, in Major League Baseball. You've got, oh, by the way, as somebody said, there's so much happening in the NFL and college and MLB right now. Like, oh, by the way, the tournament starts tonight in the play-in games, and then for big time on Thursday. It's almost kind of been pushed to the side because there are millions and millions of dollars flying around like they're $20. I mean, every time you turn around, so-and-so got 40 million. So-and-so got 30 million. It's been absolutely crazy. And now Deshaun Watson apparently has got like 8 teams interested in him. You got Colin Kaepernick trying to get back in the league after 5 years. I mean, all kind of wild stuff going on.
Yeah, Kevin, nothing moves the needle like these quarterbacks, right? Colin Kaepernick had a workout yesterday with Tyler Lockett out there for the Seattle Seahawks. Tyler Lockett being the current receiver for actually giving him, picking up his brother on Twitter saying, man, hey, man, he's ready to go. But this is the thing. In 2017, the same Seattle Seahawks could have gave Colin Kaepernick a workout, but they also had Russell last name Wilson at the helm, but they didn't want to cause no nonsense. Now that Russell Wilson's moving on to greener pastures over there with the Denver Broncos, he go out there, he get up. They don't have a quarterback right now in Seattle. You talk about Deshaun Watson, Kevin, everybody going to be trying to throw their hat in the ring. I mean, Carolina got millions. New Orleans got millions. Atlanta got, I don't know. Atlanta got relationships from the past. That's about the only thing they can offer right now. But free agency has been wild. You still got some big names out there, though. I know that Jacksonville has been big spenders. I've heard some rumblings that Cleveland Browns is in the Deshaun Watson sweepstakes, and now with Baker Mayfield, he got a social media account, and he don't like it. They say he might want to get out of town, even if they don't get Deshaun Watson, which, I mean, who knows? I mean, how many people will be in line to try to get Baker Mayfield? You talking about a guy that still has talent, a new place, new atmosphere, new environment. What would that do for him? Jameis Winston is still out there. Mitchell Trubisky has another job, with the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now, I know when the Pittsburgh thought they was going to move on from Big Ben, they did not think it was going to be no Mitchell Trubisky. But that's what you got right now, signing a 2-year deal. I mean, you still got guys out there like Bobby Wagner hasn't been signed. Jarvis Landry got let go by Cleveland. Chandler Jones still out there. Tyrann Mathieu, Honey Badger, he's still out there. So Kevin, we still got some, some big dominoes still got to fall. But free agency is wild because we all put on our hats and they got so and so for what? Or for this or for that. Christian Kirk reset the market for receivers. Devontae Adams, he had to sign a franchise tag, and he's already told Green Bay, I will not play on the franchise tag. Whereas Christian Kirk is making $18.5 million. Who is Christian Kirk you had? He'll be one of the highest paid receivers, just like got picked up by the Jacksonville Jaguars yesterday for right around $82 million.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
there's a lot of receivers going, if that guy.
Oh, yeah, Zay Jones. Zay Jones, he's got, $24 million coming. So, yeah, guys are getting big-time deals. The Jacksonville Jaguars are going all in. Evan Ingram, former first-round pick out of Ole Miss, coming over from New York, get it come a lot closer to home. I mean, he's from Powder Springs, Georgia. Now, Powder Springs, Jacksonville's a lot closer to New York. I'm just saying. So, they add him. So, I do like some of the moves being made. I think that you still got, but nobody makes a move like these quarterbacks. Jameis Winston, Marcus Mariota, Deshaun Watson, Teddy Bridgewater signed a 1-year contract, got one-year deal for Miami. So that's the insurance policy. Just say Tua don't pan out. So Chase Daniels signed a contract. Said some of these dudes been making money, but Kirk Cousins, ladies and gentlemen, signed a 1-year extension for $35 million fully guaranteed. Since Kirk Cousins has been franchised, they say Kirk Cousins, I think it was a 5th-round pick, has made almost $250 million. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't got to
all guaranteed.
All guaranteed. Listen, I won. Give me my money. You what? I won. Give me my money. But no, I'm happy for all the guys involved. I think when, like you say, Kevin, no salary cap for baseball. Salary cap is going up for football, and obviously you've seen a bunch of guys reaping the benefits.
Yeah, now you know why the players are fighting for all these cap numbers and CBTs to go up. Numbers go up. There are people that will give you the money, right? There are people that would, it's the old saying, Ben, what are you worth? I'm worth what somebody said they would give me. And right now, there's some people handing out some big-time contracts. Falcons have been pretty quiet. Obviously, outside of the Deshaun Watson rumors that are just that, honestly, what do you think is the goal here for Atlanta, who really, have they announced anything other than they've reworked some contracts? That's been about all. Hey, we reworked Matt Ryan's contract. We gave Jake Matthews an extension to kind of rework that. I mean, outside of that, the Falcons have not really gone out and added anybody to help. If the season started today, the Falcons could only run one wide receiver package because that's all they got. They could have their tight end and one wide receiver out there, and they'd be good to go. So they've got a lot of work, and that hasn't even addressed the pass rush. They got a lot of work, not a lot of money to get it done with.
I mean, you see what happens, Kevin, when you don't have money, you have to wait. You kind of got to wait on you kind of got to wait on this first wave of free agents. They kind of let them know, hey man, you're not a part of this first wave. You might not even be a part of this second wave, and we'll try to come, bring you in. Atlanta does not have a pass rusher. Atlanta does not have a starting receiver. Atlanta does not have a starting running back. Atlanta has a starting tight end. They have a restructured offensive line. They got Young Wei Koo, which they got to see if he can go out there and run some routes at this point. I mean, do you want to try to bring? I mean, it's just crazy right now. When you don't have money, though, Kevin, you put yourself in the hole because all the guys you want, you got to wait, and they're gonna land somewhere. Because one thing Atlanta does not have money to bargain with. They don't have a winning franchise to bargain with. Yes, they got a guy, Matty Ice, but look, a lot of these guys say, yeah, man, I grew up watching Matty Ice. That's how much older Matty Ice is than some of these guys. Matty Ice is on the other side of 30-something. He's closer to 40 than 30. So we'll see what happens. Kevin Terry Fontenot going to have to earn his money. I mean, Arthur Smith, he's going to have to show because last year was an embarrassment as far as how the season ended up. How do you go out there and prove in second year that you the guy for the job? So, I mean, it's a lot of things going on right now. Atlanta is not the only good thing you heard about Atlanta is they in the Deshaun Watson sweepstakes. Well, what are you going to give up to get him? How are you going to pay him when you get him? So we'll see what happens. But yeah, as much ado about nothing, Kevin. A lot of shoulda, coulda, wouldas come out of Flowery Branch.
Yeah, no Russell Gage. He signs with Tampa Bay. Oh my goodness. I mean, so you look at one guy that was getting it done on the outside for Falcons. He's now going to go catch balls from Tom Brady. So, like you said, the Falcons are you're in that very interesting spot, which is why, Ben, we've talked about this for weeks. Are you all in on trying to compete now? Or are you in the rebuild? Because you could make a case for either side of this. Look at the roster and say, yep, maybe it's time to tear it down and start over and give Arthur Smith a chance. Or you can say, look, we got some very good players that are getting close to the end. We got to try to go get some help. Don't have a lot of money to do it, but got to try to get it done. So, I mean, it's very interesting to watch the Falcons maneuver here because unless somebody else goes to free up some more space, they're not going to be out there chasing the $40, $50 million guys, right? I mean, they're just not going to be out there doing that.
They can't. You do got some expiring contracts. You see how many years Grady Jarrett got. You see how many years Deion Jones got. They leading tacklers moved on to Jacksonville. And unfortunately for those draft picks in 2021, they're gonna have to show some promise in 2022. AJ Terrell may lead some bounds in the second year going into year 3. You need a cornerback on the other side of AJ Terrell.
Yeah, Richie Grant, the safety guy.
You need to shore up that back end. Richie Grant, as we mentioned, coming out of UCF, was kind of like second round pick. While Kyle Pitts had one of the best statistical seasons we've ever seen for a tight end, had one touchdown in the States this year, and that was in the Pro Bowl. He had another touchdown this year. That was in London. And he's going to be a focal point this year for teams to take him away. You don't have a number one receiver. You don't have a you don't have a running back.
You don't really have a number 2 receiver.
You don't have a number 1 or number 2. You don't even have so right now it's the offensive line, Kyle Pitts and Matty Ice. See how boys in practice. It's gonna be interesting to see who Atlanta can get, Kevin, because 2022 has gotten a lot more interesting because Tom Brady's back in the division. It seems as though Deshaun Watson, one way or another, is either going to be Atlanta, he's either going to be a Falcon, probably not, a Saint, probably not, or probably more probable, probably going to be a Carolina Panther, and that's going to make life even worse for the Falcons because if Tom Brady makes the Tampa Bay Bucks a contender, Deshaun Watson probably going to be on the best roster in the NFC side with Carolina, who has a lot of players, depending on what they have to give up to get him. So, yes, it's going to be an interesting offseason for the Atlanta Falcons, who right now, they don't got 2 nickels to rub together, man. And it's rough, and it's hard to watch, but this is what happened when you give Matty Ice, Julio Jones, and certain guys big-time contracts, and you don't have a Super Bowl to even add to the resume because it was certain places. At least we won. They didn't even win with those guys.
Ben, obviously it'd be a different story free agent wise, but how much? You're looking at this thing right now going, it's actually a potential blessing in disguise that Calvin Ridley got suspended by the league, right? Because if he was on the roster, you probably you'd have one really good wide receiver, your tight end Kyle Pitts, Zacchaeus as your number 2 right now, and that's it. And you don't, as you said, then you really wouldn't have a lot of money to get your rookie class in and to try to sign anybody to help you out. It would be very difficult for the Falcons to go out and make anything happen. So it could potentially be a blessing in the size that Calvin Ridley is suspended and you don't have to pay him. And his money comes off of the cap. And you actually got some of that money freed up to do a little bit of something. So Terry Fontenot, I mean, we know Alex Anthopoulos can get creative. Woo! Terry Fontenot might need to be blowing a phone call. I know Alex has got his own problems right now. Like, hey, I still got to get a few more players. But Terry Fontenot might want to be calling over there. Alex, how do you get these teams to work some of this stuff? How do you get these guys to work some of these deals? Like where it becomes team friendly and you get them locked up at the same time. I mean, you look at it. Matt Olson, 8 years plus a club option, $22 million. You can make an argument you underpaid for the third best. You got him locked up for nearly a decade.
Yep.
How do you do that, Alex? This is Terry, by the way, over here at the Falcon Stadium. Mercedes, come help me out. We got more to come. It's 3 and Out, Southern Pigskin Radio Network. Good to have you back here on 3 and Out. Kevin Thomas, Ben Troop, glad you were with us. Play-in games coming up. We'll have it for you.
Kevin's favorite.
It is. I know it makes Christian mad. You know, it's like, look, I'm sorry. We're treating these teams disrespectfully. I will stick by this. Look, no, I mean, but they are. Listen, just hear me out on this. And by the way, register for our bracket challenge. Go to ESPNCoastal.com. You have the link right there. Get in. Presented by Coach's Corner. In our first place, 70-inch flat screen TV from Coach's Corner or Wings for a Year. So a couple of great prizes there as part of our bracket challenge. Go to ESPNCoastal.com. You have until Thursday before the first game tips off to get that bracket in. You can play against myself, Ben, BJ, PJ, Christian, and more. So ESPNCoastal.com. Get signed up for our bracket challenge. Love to play along with you. But again, we've taken 4 16 seeds, right, and made them play. So the teams that are kind of off the radar, you've kind of shoved them to the side and said, hey, we're going to give you a game. And we're going to tell you it's an NCAA tournament win, but it's not really because you're in Dayton on a Tuesday night. And then after you play this game, you got to fly somewhere else. You know where everybody else is? Waiting on you to show up. That's what, I mean, but seriously, that's what happens. So then you have I do like the fact you got the 12s that are going to play each other, a couple of the 12s to try to get in. And I would say if there's anybody you should be pushing that on, to me, it will be the Power 5 conference. If they're going to be let a couple of 8s play each other.
Yeah, I'm about
for a
to say,
chance to go in there because again, I think for the 16 seeds, well, they don't have a chance to. It's not about that. It's about them making the NCAA tournament and shoving them in Dayton. Somebody's going to lose that game and be like, well, I mean, to me, that doesn't feel like the NCAA tournament.